Welcome to the Reptiles With Podcast. Today we're hanging out at the Daytona National Reptile Breeders Expo. But before we bring on our guest, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your reptile-loving friends. Let's get started.
It's podcast time!
You're so disgusting.
My name is Mason Barnes. On my social medias are at Mason Barnes, just my name.
Hell yeah, dude. Listen, so you just told me that you have a monitor clutch that just came out. Tell me about that.
Yeah, very first monitor clutch. Well, I guess I've gotten a couple infertile ones before, but this is my very first fertile monitor clutch. And it was from a female coming eye that I raised from,
Nice.
She was a hatchling.
Yeah,
And so she's about 3 years old now. And she
you had
laid
just
her
got
first
in the
clutch.
mail, dude, right? Yeah.
I literally got the mail, put him in with her. Within an hour, they were locked.
Dude, that's
And
sick,
then they locked
man.
for 10 days straight. On and off. Like, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, it was on and off, but they
Dude,
locked
that guy
for 10 days
lasts
straight.
forever, man.
Yeah, exactly. No, he was good. I at first was a little hesitant because
Yeah.
coming eye, I've been told, can be a little bit spotty, a little
Yep.
aggressive sometimes with each other. So I watched him. I literally sat in front of the cage for 4-6 hours, and I just watched him, like
that's
making
sick.
sure. And so I put him in. She wasn't receptive at first, but then she started to become receptive within the first couple hours. And then they locked for 10 days straight. And then so they locked from the July 13th to the 23rd. And then last night, which was the 19th, she laid 8 fertile eggs.
Dude, well, congratulations, dude.
Thank you.
Man, I honestly, coming eye are some of my favorite monitors. It's just the yellow, dude. The stark yellow, just all of that
Yeah.
stuff, dude. It's
Yeah.
like, what are you keeping? Are they always together in the same enclosure, or they're separate?
No, so I keep them separate. Well, I guess I've only had the male for a handful of times so far.
Yeah.
And for the most part, they've been together.
Yeah.
But most monitors, when a female is about to lay eggs, you want to yank the male out because she might get a little bit aggressive with them while she's protecting the eggs or whatever it is. So I removed him. He's in his own cage now, and then I've got a couple more big cages coming. So ultimately, he'll be housed by himself and then introduced for breeding, kind of like what we did this time around. But yeah, he was with her for the majority of the time up until, honestly, right before Daytona.
Yeah.
And then I yanked him because I'm like, she might lay while we're gone. And I didn't want anything happening. So I yanked him out, and 2 days later, she lays.
Yeah.
Did I think it was going to be that soon? No.
Yeah.
But I figured she might lay either on the trip or right after we got back. I was hoping she'd do it before, but she didn't.
Yeah. Man, that would have been real cool to be able to do it yourself and shit like that.
Yeah.
But it happened. That's the best part, right?
Yeah. Well, and they were all perfect. My fiance Jordan.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My buddy calls us, and I'm like, okay, she had to have laid if he's FaceTiming me right now.
Yeah.
So he FaceTimes me, and she's completely deflated, and I'm like, but she's sitting kind of weird to where, and she had a meal before we left, so I'm like, did she lay?
Yeah.
And then he reaches his hand in the nest box and starts digging because there's branches on top of it, whatever. And he's like, he looks at me, he's like, dude, I feel something. I feel an egg. And so then he, yanks the branches off the top, opens it up, takes her out, and starts digging. And not a single slug. First time, female, 3 years old, and 8 fertile eggs.
How did that feel?
I got a little bit emotional, I'm not going to lie.
No.
I was
course,
like,
dude.
monitors, I've been into reptiles my whole life.
Yeah.
But monitors have been a newer venture for me within the last handful of years, and by far it's been the most rewarding. Just in keeping them, like the socialization aspect, the relationship you can build with such an intelligent animal versus, I love my geckos, don't get me wrong, my snakes, whatever, I love all of them, but you can't have the same relationship with a lot of other animals that you can with a monitor.
100%.
And so that's what drew me to it. And then we actually downsized our collection a little bit specifically to make room for not only room but time, dedication, free finances, whatever to dedicate to the Varanid projects.
I think I appreciate that about this younger generation of keeper. Not that I'm super fucking old, because I'm, but even though my friends love to fucking roast me because I'm older than most of my friends, whatever. The movement of Like, it's okay not to have a million of everything.
Right.
The movement of it's okay to have a little bit bigger enclosure, things that are a little bit more naturalistic.
Yep.
It's something that I look forward to the future of the hobby. One of the big things that I've been thinking about these days is specifically I breed blue tongue skinks, which in my opinion is the superior pet lizard. I always say that, because it's like it's an animal that is more forgiving than a bearded dragon. They're more personable. They really do bond with their owner.
Yep.
If you keep them correctly. The thing is that most of us that breed them, we were taught how to breed them in racks.
Right.
But that's a lizard. That's a lizard at the end of the day. You know, they're gonna need their UV. They're gonna need more than that.
Right.
So I've been thinking and seeing a lot of the this new movement of like naturalistic keeping. I'm like, okay, how else can I keep these animals that maybe it works functionally for a breeder to do these things in quote unquote numbers, but also like most importantly better for the animal.
I think it's important to I don't know, like as far as the lower number of animals and larger cages and more naturalistic and however you decide to do it, that's where that's a lot of where I find the fun in it is, taking literally recreating a chunk of where they are from and, letting them do their thing in their own environment rather than because I mean, like you said, it used to be a numbers game, right? It used to be, you can have X amount of species, you can have X amount of breeders, whatever it used to be. And it, we're not oblivious to it. It still is like that for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I totally agree. I really love the new movement of bigger, naturalistic, enclosed. I mean, even with snakes, the typical, the old school way of doing it was I just got a reticulated python, for example. Old school way of doing it probably would have put it in a rack.
Yeah.
It's a little super dwarf. I built a naturalistic enclosure for it. She is exhibiting the arboreal tendencies that they do. She's out climbing all the time. She's basking arboreally. She'll go down and drink her water in the bottom. She's got a couple hides down there. A common thing is, the snake might refuse food in a setup like that. She eats like a monster.
Yeah.
I think that if you do it right, because I mean, there's definitely a wrong way to do a naturalistic cage, right? Don't throw a tropical gecko into an arid environment.
Yeah.
But I think if you provide all the proper tools for the animal to use,
I think that it's literally that. It's key in understanding like some of the natural behaviors that are needed for the animal. For example, ball pythons, they made racks for ball pythons.
Right.
They didn't make them for all species. They made them realistically for ball python breeders, where the majority of that animal's life, they're going to be switching between different either burrows, mounds, this and that. Mind you, will they utilize arboreal space? Yes.
Right.
Yes, they will. Is it the most natural thing that they do? Probably not. It's not that often. We've all seen Dave Kaufman's movie.
Right.
So it makes sense to put that in a rack. When it comes to like retics, I wasn't like bred and born like into the reptile industry. I just stumbled upon it. It was one of those things where I was like, I don't see how you can do that success like in like quote unquote ethically, morally, whatever the fuck those words mean, like in those 8-foot cages in racks.
Well, it's like you're putting a 18-20 foot animal into I've seen some small cages for those big retics, man. Like, it's don't put a 20-foot snake into a 8x2x2.
Yeah,
like,
that makes no sense.
Simply, it's not going to work.
Especially an animal that even at its size, it's still going to be arboreal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I was actually talking to some of the people from the ARS racks because I use those for my ball pythons.
Yeah.
And I was telling them like, hey, like, have you thought about like maybe like retrofitting some of these to have a little bit more space in between so you can fit some lighting, a different kind of like top where there's more ventilation where the lighting can go through?
Yeah.
Because these would also make really good lizard racks if you were to just like do stuff like that. He's like, oh, it's just not anything that we're thinking about right now. He's like, thanks for the idea. And I'm like, well, I hope you guys do it because I mean, I keep blue tongues in similar racks, but this is like the movement that I'm going towards, and I would still love to use your products.
Right.
But like, what's the future for that? Because it would be great for a better quote unquote industry standard. For those kinds of things. Yeah.
Well, and I don't like. I don't know. My personal opinion, I don't hate racks.
Yeah.
I understand the use of them.
Yeah.
I have some. You know, we keep some of our snakes in racks.
Yeah.
But I think that how you set up the tub is important. I think that providing a oversized tub for the species that you have is important. Because, I mean, take a baby hognose snake, for example. You know, they're a tiny little worm. If someone were to put them in a 28-quart tub or a 10-gallon enclosure, the 10-gallon enclosure is going to look better, right?
Yeah.
But the 28-quart tub has more floor space. So if you had an option like that with, you know, where you can provide lighting and you're essentially recreating an enclosure that you would do normally with a tank, but you have belly heat already built in. If you have lighting, perfect. But it's, you know, basically what I'm getting at is I think it's really important how you set up the tub if you're going to go that route.
I have a buddy of mine that breeds blue tongues that, you know, specifically those retic racks, the ones that are like 8 feet, 8 feet, like
those massive ones.
Yeah. So he started putting his blue tongues instead of CB70s. He puts them in there, and he rigged UV light in there.
Yep, I've seen people do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, exactly. And like he's got the mom to give birth, and then even raise the babies a little bit with the mom, where the mom isn't trying to like predate on the babies.
Right.
You know, he has like a solid like situation going on there, and I'm like, damn, dude, like. This is it. Like this could be the future.
Yeah,
you know, like we just got to get there. We just got to like throw out a little bit of that old school mindset.
Right.
You know, understand that in the end of the day, like as much as these animals are profitable, quote unquote, for us, you know, they are not just a commodity.
Right.
You know, they are a living thing that, you know, the way that I see it is like they're offering me a living. I should do my best to offer them as much as possible.
I agree.
Hell
and
yeah.
I think that's important to, like I've always said it, the passion comes first. If as a result you're a successful breeder that can live off of what you make, great. That's a successful byproduct. That's what everyone wants, right? If you're wanting to go that route, but the passion and the care of the animals and like all of that should come first.
Yeah.
You don't work with stuff that you don't want to work with just because you think there's money in it.
Yep.
Work with what you want to work with and give those animals the best life possible, because at the end of the day, they rely on us. There's no other, if you are the sole owner, there is no one else providing sustenance and the essentials to them other than you. So it's important to give them what they need.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
it was
for sure, man.
A pleasure talking to you, dude.
Yeah, likewise.
Hell yeah. I'm sitting here with
we're live.
Yeah, we're fucking live already, bro.
No.
With the fucking prettiest
I wasn't
fucking
ready. Hey, I got the great hair though.
Yeah, he's the prettiest reptile keeper in fucking Daytona right now, dude. It's crazy.
Oh man, people, mainly men, love me. So.
I love you, dude.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there you go. And
know.
I'm kind of a man. I'm half the size of one.
Honestly, you make me feel good because
oh my
I'm
God.
usually
I'm
the
glad
half of
that
the man, but you make me feel so big. It's
yeah,
so nice.
Oh, hey, pause,
hey,
dude.
hey,
Heavy pause,
hey.
my guy.
You make me feel like a normal man, so thank you.
I'm glad that my pain is your gain.
Because it's usually that for me. I'm
okay.
usually I'm the pain and people's gain, but
all right,
it's nice to be like
Okay. Well, I appreciate you, my dude.
I love you, bro.
Listen, let's talk about this fucking blue tongue market right now, my guy.
Ooh, how good it is, you mean?
Yeah, it's the best market.
So, so like most markets, it's gone down.
Yeah.
But the pet market's still good. It's just lower than what it's been the past few years. Before like we could list classic pets for like $400 and they would sell. Right now, anything above $250 is kind of rough.
Yeah, and that's crazy because, dude, we were selling classics a couple years ago for $300.
Yeah, I know. 300, 400, like even $500.
Yeah,
bro. For some of them, like I'm telling you, before we could post it on Fauna and it would be sold in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
But the good thing about the market going down is that it's proving that the market is healthy. Because what comes up must go down, and vice versa. And eventually it's gonna find its peak. It's gonna keep in that valley kind of thing. So this is my spiel for people to invest in blue tongues right now.
It's actually a great time if you have the money to invest. It's the best time because everything's really low. You can get some really high quality animals for very low prices.
People, I spent $1,500 on my first Magma. Okay, the first one that I had. Okay, I don't know how much they're going for right now, but they're definitely not selling for that much. You know?
No, not at all. I'm selling some Magma line stuff right now that are nice for like 500.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy.
I know.
Yeah, but again, like for anybody that's been interested, you know, it's gonna come back up. You know, something that was one of your friends said this weekend that we had a conversation with him is that, you know, a big issue with the blue tongues would be that you can't sex them.
Yes.
You know, and I feel like I do get a lot of people that want to know the sex of the babies like right away. You know, I feel like an experienced keeper can kind of see the babies and be like after keeping them for a while and seeing how they're like holding weight, just seeing how they're growing and stuff like that, you can kind of start picking apart like this was probably going to be a female. You know, this one might be 6 months old, but every time I go into the enclosure, it's always tail wagging and it always keeps its weight.
Yes.
That's probably going to be your female.
Yes, but it takes time.
Yeah.
To, like you said, you gotta like be there with the animal, have it. You can't just look at an animal like when you're looking through the show and you're like, I like this one's color. You're not going to be able to tell if it's a male or female.
Yeah.
Even as an adult, it's tough.
Yeah.
So I think that is a big problem, especially for people who have aspirations for breeding.
Yeah.
You know, because those are people that are going to spend more money on these animals. The pet people, I don't think they really care if it's a male or a female. So I don't really think that affects that market too much. But the people who like have aspirations to breed, yes, 100%. If we had like some test or something we could do, I think that would help out the market a lot.
I sent blood in. So, you know, some of the people in my family breed birds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll send in blood samples to sex the babies.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've done is that we sent in blue tongue blood to see if they could get sex. Unfortunately, they couldn't. They couldn't figure it out from the blood. I don't know why. But if we are able to figure out genetically what the animal is, like that's something that I would definitely invest in.
Yeah, 100%. And I know with other animals you could do it with the sheds, but I don't know if anyone's tried it with the blue tongues.
Yeah,
it might be the similar issue. Like, yeah, man, you can't even they're not sexually dimorphic at all, which is it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
To be honest, but if there's a way, I think the more blue tongues are studied, probably the more likely they would be to be able to sex it with blood or shed, because that's a DNA thing. Yeah. And the thing is, if there's not that much info on it, that's probably why they don't really know how to sex it.
Yeah, and I think how long have I been doing this? And even now, sometimes I'll have animals and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know what sex it is, and I put them together and they're not, or some of them I will know, and then I'll even send you pictures. I'm like, yo, you need to fucking help me. I need a second opinion on some of this shit, you know? You know,
it's funny, some of the morphs too. I've noticed, for example, Swedish stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of them look female and they're male. So there's even certain morphs that tend to look more like one, but it's actually the other. It's really weird. And now, I mean, working with it long enough, I kind of know now. One of my friends got one of our skinks from her. You ask anybody else who's not worked with that line, they'll be like, that's a female, that's a female. But I look at it, I was like, dude, that's a male. I have a lot of males that look like females that look just like that.
Yeah.
So it makes it even harder, man.
Yeah.
But I don't know what we can do to really...
I'll tell you what. Let's talk positivity about the blue tongues.
Okay, yay.
What are the projects that you think are going to be the next, hit blue tongues? Obviously, I mean, fucking the ivories crashed before they fucking flew off. But the important part about getting the ivory in as many collections as possible is to diversify that blood.
Yes.
I'm okay with the fact that they dropped in price. It sucks that I invested so heavily into it, but you win some, you lose some. Right now, I want to take mine to dark stuff. I want to take mine to red stuff, and then meet it back eventually. Maybe breed some of those together to create the ivories and get a little bit of the investment back. But it's about diversifying the blood. You know, the ivory is a good one. Is there anything else that you think is coming soon? Just to expand on the ivories, I have noticed some ivories retain color a little bit more.
Yes.
I have one that was when it was younger, had a lot of red. Yep. But now it still has some red and pink, and I wonder with a lot of outcrossing, like you were saying, if that's going to be able to retain the color. Because the one thing that sucks about ivory, how it's kind of a dead-end gene almost, where you can't really do too much unless you mix it with other mutations albino, melanistic, stuff like that. Ones. Not like line-bred traits, which is mostly what we have available. But so a couple things with that. The first thing I'll say is that a lot of you're going to start seeing in the future people crossing northerns with IJs, northerns with easterns, so that way we can keep the inbreeding as far back as possible, and also to be able to put in new mutations like the melanistics and the ivories. And then the second thing is that I like the name ivory because I think it better suits what the animal is compared to what they call it in Australia, which is the white northern, because to me it reminds me specifically of the ivory in ball pythons, right? And the ivory in ball pythons, people thought very similar. Oh, it's just going to be white snake. It's going to have a little bit of yellow in the head, a little bit of gray, and that's it. It's just going to be white as an adult. But what they found is two things. When you mix it with leopard, pattern comes out into that white. And leopard is not only does it make it like funky as far as a pattern, but it's a darker gene. And then when you mix it with Enchi, it also helps with it because that is a brighter and also messes with the pattern. So that's why my thought process is that if I put it into red, maybe I could figure out a way to bring out some of the reds or pinkish hues. And in the similar sense where the melanistic blue tongues, the hypermelanistics, they have the red flames. I'm like, maybe we can get there with the ivory. It's a white animal with pink flames. And then maybe we could bring out the pattern even more if we put it with our darker stuff, not the hypermelanin stuff, but just darker lines.
Or even if we come out with some pattern mutations.
Yeah.
That might be... I think there's going to be a lot with the hybrids.
Yeah.
I think the ivory or any of these other genes might... It might change it a lot. So that's what I'm really excited for. I think the hybrids are going to be a game changer. I think that's going to bring a lot of excitement back into blue tongues, and it's going to make the market go back up to where it was. Yeah. Especially like you said, like there's albinos in the Indonesians, and there are other mutations. You can start mixing them together. Like I have. It might. I don't know if it's an albino Maruki or it might be a hypo, but like mixing that with the ivory, mixing that with the reds, mixing that with the hypocalicos. So I've talked to you plenty of times about the hypocalicos. I still haven't been able to produce any, just because we just moved into a new location. Actually, had a really bad year because of that. They just first cycled, they cycled late. They started breeding late, and so I had a lot of slugs and stuff.
Yeah, it's bound to happen. The same thing happened to me when I had done the move to Central Florida.
But with the hypocalicos, like I've seen outcrosses. I have some outcrosses, and the way it to me it almost acts like an Enchi. Again, I've only seen I've only seen a couple of outcrosses because that's all there's really been. But it brightens the animal so much, and I'm like, dude, it's gonna look very cool in reds. Yeah, I'm gonna mix it with some high black stuff, see what that does. The ivories. So I'm gonna put that stuff with a lot. So hopefully, with all these new mutations and like if stuff pops up, that's what's gonna get attention back on them, back on this game. So that's what's gonna drive the market back up, that excitement.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I'm actually really excited. It might be down right now, but I'm really, really excited to see what the future has.
Something that Ron St. Pierre said in one of the podcasts that I did with him is that I think it was the first one that we spoke about how he's keeping his blue tongues, but more importantly was that if we kept the lines pure, the blue tongue project would just be a dead end. Because eventually the animals will be so fucking inbred because we're not bringing in any new ones. You cannot bring anything in from Australia, but the species, Teliqua scincoides, you have different kinds. You do have some IJs, you do have the Easterns, fucking even the, technically, what's it called, the tannin bars are scincoide chimera.
Chimera,
yeah. So there's option with mixing it into like creating some hybrids, and even though like the hybrid thing is like a hot topic, the point is that we're trying to keep them in the pet trade, and we're trying to keep them as healthy as possible and have them as a future staple as a pet, because they are the best pet lizard in my opinion. It's the same thing that they did with the carpet pythons. Some people were able to keep like the Darwins, like the albinos and shit like that. They were able to keep them pure, but some people cross them with the Xanthics, which are a different from a different area, and in the end, technically it's either an integrator or a hybrid, but it's still gonna make the animal that much better and more. It's giving the animal a future kind of thing.
Yeah, look at like we were talking about earlier, the gammas. Yeah, like those are the amazing animals that came out of those crosses. So that's what I want to do with skinks. That's what I'm gonna focus on. I mainly do the northerns right now, but like I said, that Maruki, man. I'm gonna.
Even the fucking patternless Marukis that they have here.
Yeah.
Sick, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, and you actually, thank you for the one you gave me, man.
Yes.
That one's amazing. That one, hopefully in like a year, 2 years, is gonna breed. And I wanna see what that does with like red northerns, like a patternless
dude.
red northern.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
where there's no bars, just straight red, or even yellow, or any of that.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. Obviously, the Fuego project is the best in the fucking world.
Oh, for sure. Hey, all my red babies are from that Fuego project, from
Hell
that
yeah.
male I got from you. He's amazing.
Hell yeah, dude.
He breeds everything.
Good, bro.
I mean, everything. Just like
Even you?
Just like, hey.
That's weird, dude.
Hey, he got it from his dad, you know?
Hey, I'm his dad.
Yeah, I know.
There
That's
we
what I'm
go.
saying. He got it from you.
Oh man, that's great. Yeah, dude, I'm definitely excited for our skinks. I'm not bummed out by it. Like
neither.
some people, you know what I am happy about is how many of the people got out of it.
I know.
It's the people that would stop everybody in their fucking tracks. That and that's one of the reasons why the fucking market crashed. Is that people would come into the hobby. They are brand new into the blue tongues. They bought an Almahera. And they're like, hey, this is the blue tongue that I just bought. Like, I'm so excited. They're trying to show their excitement about being part of a new community. And then you have these fucking people that have been breeding them for 20 years. They're like, well, it's you actually wanted a northern, and this was going to fucking die because you can't keep the humidity and the fucking this. And then it's just like, yo, like, I'm just trying to be a part of this, and you guys are shitting on me right at the start. I don't want to be a part of this anymore.
Dude, trust me, I was in the middle of that.
Yeah.
I got kicked out of most of those groups because I helped a friend sell the hybrid, which I clearly labeled, hey, this is a Northern IJ cross.
Yeah, you labeled it.
Literally.
You weren't trying to
labeled
lie to anybody?
I labeled it in the title. I labeled it in the description.
You even when you put it on the group, or rather, when you commented on it with the group and stuff like that, you're like, yo, like, this is not mine. I'm selling it for a friend.
Yes.
Like, I didn't do this.
Yes.
But even then, like, it's just like, who the fuck are you, dude?
Yes. Yeah, and they would come attack, and I think they really discouraged a lot of people.
Yeah.
They did a lot of damage. Also, I think, Brian Barczyk, like, kind of, he was making a lot of videos on skinks for a bit, and that just drove the hype up real big.
That's why I got into him.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. I was influenced by that too. Yeah. I would see when he went to Australia, the albinos, the melanists. I was like, yo, the lavas. I was like, oh, I need that. I still need that. So that, but like you said, like, I'm not bummed out about it because I truly love these animals just like you. Yeah. So whether they're selling for $100, whether they're selling for $5,000, I don't care. I'm gonna always have them because I do love them. I don't do this for the money. Yeah, I do this full time, and I need to make money, but I do this because I love that animal. And blue tongues, more than anything, excite me because of how raw they are. It's still very early stages on their potential, so it's like that gets me so excited. Look at crested geckos, man. They've been around for a long time. People have been breeding them for a long time. Now the morphs are coming out. Now the xanthics, the cappuccinos.
And the best part is that there is a way to produce them. People know how to produce them.
Exactly.
So now that these morphs are coming out, dude, it's just like they're gonna be a plethora. Even though right now it's gonna, and I'm gonna talk to Tiki about it later. Even though right now, like, money's a bit tight because of like crested geckos. There's a lot of people into them. They're pretty easy to produce.
Yeah.
It's saturated, but it's just like, dude, like, look at ball pythons.
Yeah.
There's ball pythons fucking everywhere, and people are to this day that are in niche projects. Like, they're selling $15,000 animals. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter that the market is saturated. It's about what you're doing in that market to stick out in the middle of that saturation.
I couldn't agree more. And
hell yeah.
People don't realize, like, people talk crap about ball pythons, they're basic, but they're literally the backbone of the reptile industry.
Yeah.
This exists because of ball pythons.
Yeah.
So
you're welcome, even though I'm mad late to the game.
Yeah, you're very late.
All right, buddy. In a couple of months, I'm sure we're gonna be at another show together. And you will be keeping carpets outside, and that's whenever that happens, we will talk about it. I want to know your experience outside.
I'll tell you, carpets, red tails, and Dumerals.
All right, so there will be a part 2 to this eventually, and we'll see how it's going. Thank you, sir.
Oh, pleasure.
Oh,
you trying to shake me or the mic? What are you doing, man? What are you doing, man?
We could shake something else if you want.
Hey.
And that was that.
On camera.
Good. How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
Listen, the first thing I want to ask you is, have you gotten any feedback from our podcast with USARK Florida?
So we did get some people. Some people thought that Chucky and I were gonna go like ham at it, but we're like, no, man. I mean, we could have difference of opinion and still be friends. And we agreed to disagree.
Yeah.
But we've had some good a lot of people have told me they like that we did that. You know, they like that we were able to get together and, you know, put it out there and have a discussion and a respectful discussion.
And you know what? I've gotten that, but then I was also talking to Daniel, and he was telling me, he's like, bro, people are like complaining about the fact that we didn't like yell at each other, and it is what it is. The coolest part is that because of that, we were able to get Chuck to talk with Elizabeth today.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with Phil Goss. Chuck had a conversation with Phil Goss. And even though, like, in the end of the day, he still doesn't agree with them, like, it's all right, dude. Like, we can have these differences of opinions, and we just do our thing, man.
Yeah, and listen, at the end of the day, we planted the seed.
Yeah, dude.
Maybe he doesn't like USARK today, but maybe another day.
As a matter of fact...
this is sponsored by USARK,
bro. They're coming out with USARK. Well, Daniel was talking to him. They did a little podcast together, which will probably be some point in this video. They were talking about that USARK Florida is trying to come out with kind of like a... How do I say... Not a rescue program, but allow keepers that are part of USARK to be there whenever they're, you know, somebody needs to go catch an animal. Because of, like, for example, this ball python thing that just happened in St. Augustine, where some asshole released a bunch of ball pythons, you know? So it's like, but we can have keepers that are part of this industry go deal with that, you know? And those are going to be the people that know how to do the thing.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Chuck was straight up telling him, like, I'd be down to do that kind of shit, you know? Like, because you know, even though, like, I'm not for this organization, like, it's still helping the environment. It's helping this industry kind of thing. And, you know, so positive things come out of good conversation, even if there's discrepancy between each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, you have to have some sort of conversation about it. You know, you have to be willing to get in, you know, on the table, talk about the differences, and then you could find, you know, a middle ground. That's like, that's just with any relationship, with any friendship that you have, you may have disagreements, but you got to come to, you know, a middle ground. You figure it out, and that's what. That's politics, bro.
There you go.
It's politics.
Look at that. We brought politics into reptiles. We did it, guys. We're like the government. All right, look. What's up with this crested gecko market, bro? People are freaking out.
God.
You know, I was talking to Manny about the blue tongue market, and how I was telling him, like, dude, like, even if something drops, like, that's just proof that the market is healthy. You know, because, like, things are gonna go back up, dude, and they're gonna find their place. Like, this is such an important part for people that are actually really interested in this to come and invest into this. Yeah,
and it what it does too is it weeds out the people who are just getting into it for the money. Yeah. So you have a lot of breeders that they saw the COVID bubble, they saw the boom, and they saw what people were selling crested geckos for, and they're like, oh, this is a great business. I'm gonna get a couple. Now, you know, we're like all the way down, and people are like, well, I'm not seeing these numbers that, you know, Axanthics are down like. Man, Axanthics last year, you could find $20,000 Axanthics. Now they're like $3,000. Yeah. Now, it's going to weed a lot of people out, but, you know, rightfully so. Sometimes that's how you have to find out that you're not into the business that you're in. You know, you got to do it through the tough times and the good times.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, you might never be able to get an Axanthic at that price anymore.
Oh, no, you most likely will never get it. It doesn't usually work that way.
Exactly. And I think that we're going to be dealing with this just general, like, market drop maybe for another year. Because what I've seen, it's also the same thing with some people that got into ball pythons, is that, you know, during COVID, people bought a shit ton of ball pythons, and then they bred them, got the babies to hatch, and realized, oh shit, I bought 20 females, and now I have, you know, like, let's say 50 animals. 50 animals to feed. You know, my rodent bill just went up 3 times. Yeah. You know, and it's just like, fuck, dude. Like, now they're gonna want to get out of this shit. Now it's real.
Now it's a lot of work. It wasn't. It was a hobby. It was fun, and now it's like actual work.
Yeah. But, you know, and then the couple good people, they'll stay. You know, they'll stay, and, you know, it makes the hobby better.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think just like anything else, it goes up and down, you know. In any business ever, you're not going to escape that. Yeah. You know, but the thing about animals is that it is a living creature, and you don't, you know, you got to feed the damn thing. Yeah. And you can't just go on vacation and forget about it. And if you're not 100% invested in this, it's going to show real quick.
Yeah, it's a liability. Yeah, it's like, what's the thing that people always tell you not to invest in? They're like, buy assets, not liabilities. It's like, no, we did liabilities. We did it. Yeah, dude. Now, you got those white-ish crescent geckos.
Yeah.
What have you got? Not crescent geckos. Sorry, the gargoyle geckos. Have you gotten those to breed yet?
Yeah. We do have a bunch of. So what I think it is a simple recessive. So I have, in theory, I have a whole bunch of heads. You know. Now this next coming season, next year, 2024, we're gonna put. I have 2 visuals that are full siblings that came from the same breeder. And next year I'm gonna put daughters from
each of them
and try to produce more visuals.
To separate the blood a bit.
To somewhat kind of diversify it. And obviously I've bred them to a variety of different animals from all types of different bloodlines. Some reticulated, some red striped, a bunch of different stuff. But I think that there's already some people, every now and then I get tagged or pictures sent to me from animals that are in China or Korea that are the same exact thing that I have. So it's out there. And Paul and Kelly from Rack House and Eclipse Exotics, they have produced multiple, but I think only one's been viable out of that pair. And it's definitely like I'm pretty confident it's a simple recessive, and we're gonna start hatching out our visuals next year. I'm pretty confident in that.
I personally prefer a gargoyle over a crescent gecko, so that's something that I'm super excited for. I know that I've spoken to you a couple times that I've been trying to breed these gargoyles for the longest fucking time, and for some reason I couldn't figure it out. But I have babies now, dude.
Nice,
I did the thing,
I told
dude.
you.
I'm
Patience.
cheeky now. I did it. First, I fucking copy Manny. I do the blue tongues. Now I'm you. Oh, dude, that's funny. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm super excited for that. Now that I was able to reproduce them, I'm starting to consider getting a little more heavy invested into it. That's kind of always my thing. I'm like, I don't want to go like balls deep if I can't figure it out. So yeah, I'm excited for your
I know, man. I'm super excited. The gargoyles honestly have been always kind of like one step behind the cresteds, but I think when we start to see all these morphs, like real like genetic mutations that people start to get behind and start to get excited, and we can start making combos, it's gonna blow up just like the crescent market did. Maybe it won't. Obviously, it was like the perfect storm for the crescent market to blow up with COVID and everything, and the new and caps and all these things all at the same time, and the prices skyrocketed. But at the end of the day, that doesn't make a healthy market, because it just means like the drop is that much more harder. If they wouldn't have, if COVID and all these things wouldn't have happened like it did, the prices would have dropped, but not as much. It wasn't going to be as drastic. So I think it's going to be, with gargoyles, it's going to be something like that, where we're going to see a spike in the prices, especially when I prove these things out and I could, and I have proof. I'm like, nope, this is recessive. Look what I have done. And obviously Deadpool stuff, and there's a ton of really, really good lines out there, man. It's just like people need to start marketing them. And once they start to realize, okay, this is also a marketing. When you got a business, you got to market your business.
The thing is that I think that the majority of reptile people just aren't business people. And that's a reality. You see, at a lot of these local reptile shows, people that don't really put a lot of effort. It really is just a hobby for them. Or they might just think they're doing business, but it's just like, you got to put a little more thought into it, a little more effort, so that way you stick out against the same guy that has your same tablecloth and your logo,
your same ball pythons.
Exactly, dude. Yeah, man. And I know that you guys are starting to keep a lot more stuff than usual outside. Obviously, Manny's starting to get crazy into these fucking snakes and shit like that. I'm excited about it. Have you ever considered putting any of the new cow stuff outside? I know that a lot of people say like, oh, Florida's going to be too hot, Florida's whatever, but people have done it.
I'm one of those people. But what Ron told me, he's like, we have like 100 crested geckos outside. I don't know if he was fucking with me, if he was exaggerating, but he does have some crested geckos outside. And I'm meaning to go talk to him and go see and check out his place and just pick his brain about how he's doing it. I put one crested gecko outside last year to kind of experiment. And during the summer months, I noticed it started slowing down a little bit. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to put it inside. I didn't want it to just die or something. But I'm sure that, New Caledonian is a subtropical island. It gets, it's pretty breezy. It's a little bit cooler than here on average. But, there's 90-degree days over there too, So, like, I'm sure if they're, like, in shade, and they're not in direct sunlight, they'll survive. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
So.
Chucky's been doing it.
Yeah, Chuck told me. I
with
just
some,
talked to him.
Yeah, so just a couple snake plants under a big tree.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna do the same thing. I think I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
You know, obviously if the animals are crashing, I'm not gonna fucking whatever. The only thing that I'm worried about is that it gets colder up where I'm at.
Yeah.
So
how
obviously,
cold does it get? Like 30s, right?
Yeah, it can get there.
Yeah,
so
you gotta
that'll
bring
bring
them
them
at that point.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm even worried about the fucking Phelsuma. Last year I had one cage with Phelsuma that I was bringing in and out.
Yeah, no,
and now I have a lot more.
We have, yeah. Well, exactly. So, Phelsuma for sure you got to bring in during the cooler months. We've had animals that during a really, really cold snap, they didn't make it.
Yeah.
And we bring them inside. We bring all the animals inside when it starts getting like below 40.
Yeah.
But even then, sometimes like just a consistent cold, like just they don't do
fucks
good.
with them.
Yeah, it messes with them. Yeah.
Hell yeah,
So,
dude.
but yeah, with the New Caledonian stuff, I'll probably try again. I'll experiment, especially after talking to Ron and Chuck that they've been keeping theirs outside. Am I gonna move my whole facility outside?
No, but like some of like the.
But it's good to know.
Yeah, and then you could do, you know, some of your pet grade stuff. That's just the shit that goes outside. You know, your really like heavily invested stuff stays inside where you can be a little bit more controlled. You know,
and the main problem, this is something that Paul at Rack House told me, and it's very true. The reason why, you know, when people say, you know, over 85 degrees, including me, I would say this all the time, over 85 degrees and your geckos could die real quickly, is because if the humidity is super low, over 85 degrees is going to dry out the gecko and it's going to dehydrate it like that.
Yeah.
So if, you know, obviously in Florida we got insane humidity.
Yeah.
So the humidity's high. It's a well-hydrated animal. They're going to be able to tolerate those higher temperatures.
Yeah.
Like 100%. And we're seeing it. Like it's, you know, there's people out there that are already keeping them outside.
Yeah.
So I think it's really interesting. We'll put some outside again. I'm going to try it out. But I definitely want to go over Ron's place and pick his brain about it.
Yeah.
That guy's a fucking genius.
Yeah, both
dude.
Ron and Heather, you know, they're just.
Yeah, Heather too.
Yeah, Heather, they're brains, man. They fucking think, and they
Oh my
really
God.
are like. That is herpetoculture.
Yeah.
Like, that is
no,
that.
and the cool thing about them is that they're old school guys. I mean, Heather, not as much as Ron, with all due respect, but Ron's like old school guy.
Mm-hmm.
You're old as fuck, Ron. but he's like
Yo, he won an award. Did you see that shit?
He's involved with the hobby, bro.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He's doing stuff better than like young keepers.
Yeah.
You know, like he's not.
And he's still
he-
trying to
he
move
evolves.
forward.
Yeah, he keeps
know,
and
like-
he keeps innovating. And
Yeah.
kudos to them. I
I
respect them so much.
I forgot who it was that I was talking to. I don't know if it was on this podcast, so I'm so sorry if I'm fucking repeating myself. But when he started explaining to me about how he's keeping, about how they're keeping the blue tongues outside, and from what I understand, like the blue tongues really are like more like a Heather thing, similar to the bearded dragons. And so I was like, okay, I need to figure out a way to do a similar setup that works with the kind of materials that I use. So I came up with the setup, and I'm like about to implement it. And then one of the last times I spoke to them, he was like, yeah, we're about to change it up. We're going to do this. We're going to bigger enclosures, this. And I'm like, fuck, man, I thought I had the roadmap now. Now I don't know shit, dude. It's been a year, dude. You know, and yeah, they're just brains, dude.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, like it's like whenever I get into conversations around them, I don't even talk. Like I just listen. It's one of those things. Like I just, you know.
No, I know. Listen, man. I know, dude. Trust me. I want to go there, smoke a cigar. I don't know if Ron smokes a cigar, but we could just talk and
smoke the cigar.
I will just listen all day.
Yeah.
Those guys are books of knowledge.
Yeah, for sure.
And Heather too. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, future of Tiki's. What's coming up new? What do you want to promote? Like, what's coming out?
So, well, when does this come out?
A clip of it will come out next week, and then the full thing comes out in 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, so we're constantly doing a bunch of sales and stuff. I'm obviously excited about. I'm breeding more the gargoyles than ever. I'm popping out a bunch of gargoyles. A bunch of really nice red stripes. We got the amelanistic, or what I call the amelanistic project, the white gargoyle project. And just overall, man, I'm just really excited about crested geckos right now. There's so much more information that there was just a couple years ago. Like a lot of people have done such great work in like really, breaking down each particular morph and gene and trait and saying, okay, no, this is actually a codom where people are incomplete dominant. This is a recessive mutation where before we used to think, oh, you put 2 crested geckos together and you pop out some random shit. Yeah. No. We just haven't paying enough attention.
Yeah.
Snake people, ball python people, and leopard gecko people have been ahead of the game. They've had more time, but now we're catching up.
There we go.
I'm just super excited to breed in general.
Yeah, beautiful, my friend. Thank you so much, man.
Well, anytime, bro.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
There's nothing better than the smell of coffee in the morning, okay? There's also nothing better than the smell of reptiles in the morning. Psych. Reptiles with coffee. That's the smell you want. The strongest coffee, all right? We have it for you. Head on over to the description or go to coldbloodedcaffeine.com and use the code REPTILESWITH to get your Reptiles with coffee today. We're sitting here with Trey from Cold Blooded. It's caffeine.
Caffeine. Yep.
Caffeine. There we go. So, how many times do you get asked? Is it cold-blooded coffee, cold-blooded caffeine, cold-blooded cafe?
It gets yeah. So we do get mixed up with cold-blooded cafe quite a bit from being in the reptile world.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times at shows and stuff when we're there, we'll get confused. Coffee. There is another cold-blooded coffee, which is why we're not cold-blooded coffee.
Go. Yeah.
So we purposefully did caffeine.
Okay.
To try to avoid that confusion.
Yeah. So when you guys conceived this idea, right? What was the instinct to do this in the reptile world?
So I bred reptiles and kept reptiles for since like 2012. So a good 10 years before 9 years before we started the coffee business. So I was already kind of like connected a little bit within the reptile world. And that's where the idea came from, is to merge the two businesses. I was actually in the grocery store one day looking at coffee and noticed a Brazil coffee and a Colombian coffee. And I was like, man, I've got Brazilian rainbow boas. I've got Colombian rainbow boas. I've got BCI stuff, And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So then I looked into it a little bit more and was like, oh, this is actually like really good for reptiles and in their environment. Coffee's a shade plant, so you don't have to destroy old growth forests to plant it. There's studies that show reptile biodiversity increases in coffee plantations. So it all just kind of came together. I was thinking reptiles, but we definitely made sure that we proved it out and made sure that it made sense in that idea.
I think it's a great idea. When I don't remember. I think it was Daytona that I first saw it, because I think I sent you guys the message. Like right after. And I thought it was an amazing idea. So I'm Cuban Nicaraguan. That's my heritage. So growing up, we always had coffee after work. My Cuban grandma, we get home and literally like it was ready for us.
It's just a part of the culture.
Exactly. So I was always into coffee, and when I saw that you were doing some of the affiliate programs with Bob's Balls, I know now you have it with Adeline and stuff like that. I was like, dude, like I need to figure this out. Like I need to be a part of this. And I'm real grateful that you guys accepted it, and it's been a big hit.
Y'all have been a great affiliate partner.
I'm glad.
Very
really
active.
Glad.
So.
I believe in it. I definitely believe in it. I have a similar thing where, I would go into like the local supermarket here's Publix, and I go into Publix and everybody has their fancy, different brand of coffee or whatever, and I'm like, dude, like this is perfect. I've even thought about like pitching it to some of the smaller local coffee shops and just being like, oh, like you should sell this coffee. Like, this is good coffee.
You're welcome to. And of course we can talk about
for sure
what that means. But
I think that it's definitely been a big hit. Every time that I've gone to any of the reptile shows, everybody's always raving about it. As a matter of fact, I had somebody that was going to purchase one of the things of coffee, and they were like, but is the company here? And I'm like, no, they're not. And they were like, well, I like the other coffee better. And I was like, well, go buy the coffee. And then on the other spectrum, I've had people come up to the table and be like, oh, this coffee here, the Reptiles With, is the best one from the line. And it's I'm really happy with the brand.
And we did that intentionally. So we wanted all of our affiliates coffee to be unique. We didn't want to just rebrand our coffee as yours, and because that's not unique to you. That's not that people aren't going to be drawn in unless they're just big fans of your brand, which is great. But we wanted you to also have people looking for you that you may not have ever bought a reptile from you, because they tasted your coffee and they liked it and they wanted to get it from you.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I legitimately don't drink any other coffee. The only time that I drink another coffee is if like I'm out and I'm getting coffee somewhere else. But as far as like I'm making this coffee at home, you know, my wife gets home every day. She's like, "Oh, can I have coffee?" And I'm like, "Yes, the Reptiles with coffee, the best coffee."
It's like a little commercial every morning.
Yeah. So I'm real happy with it. The guys from Tiki's Geckos, David, he likes it also.
Great.
And man, thank you so much for doing this with us. It's been great. Do you guys have anything like big and cool coming out anytime soon?
Yeah, so we've got a new blend that's going to be launching soon. I can't say who it's with yet.
Okay.
But just stay tuned.
Well, I saw you guys traveled somewhere.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
yes.
I won't say who it is, but
so there's a hint there. It's a big hitter.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that. We're also launching, and I'll give you the exclusive on this one.
Hell yeah.
We are launching a line of tea coming up.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah. So we're doing a line of tea that's going to be coming out here, hopefully in the next month or two. I'm trying to get it before Arlington.
Okay. We got to talk about that. I have an idea.
Okay.
Yeah, with tea.
We'll,
Okay.
we'll talk offline about that one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one more time, I appreciate you. Do you want to like tag yourself, like tell people where to find you?
Sure. So check out coldbloodedcaffeine.com. We have a whole line not only of affiliate coffees but also signature coffees, some higher end like specialty locality coffees. And then you can check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We're pushing hard on the YouTube as well.
Good.
So check us out, Cold Blooded Caffeine, on all those platforms.
Yeah. And for the future, if there's anything that I can do to help you guys out, specifically I work in like web development and stuff like that, just let me know. I'm really happy with your brand. I'm really happy with what it is that you're doing. I resonate with it, and I'm excited for your future. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you.
Alrighty. We're sitting here with Dan the Turtle Man, the homie.
Yeah.
How you doing today, dude?
I'm thriving, vibing.
Yeah.
Very happy to be here. I don't know. I'm chilling.
Yeah?
I'm chilling. I'm not filming today, so I was like...
It's vacation.
Yeah, I just came back from the beach
dude.
yesterday, day before, so I'm hanging.
Yeah,
it's
and
fun.
then like 3 weeks is Animal Con.
Dude, last year was crazy because they were 1 week apart. It was Daytona and then immediately Animal Con, but I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
I'll drive back down, make the little 6-hour trip, whatever it is.
Oh, that's not that bad.
Dude.
I thought it was further.
It's like 6.5.
What state are you in?
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Like the
Bro,
western part a little bit.
Yeah.
So you should just go East Coast, pop on 95 because I love 95.
Hell yeah.
And just rocking it. Yeah, I was East Coast my whole life.
Yeah.
So Jersey, then Pennsylvania, and then I have family in South Carolina, and then I'd have family in Florida. So I would just
back and forth.
Beep, pop, beep, pop. Yeah. Oh,
cool, man. Yeah, I'm super excited for Animal Con this year. I get to attend as an influencer.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I was so excited. I was like,
yeah,
my
dude.
boy,
yeah, dude.
Yoshii.
It's cool, man. It's cool. I got to see if I could. I had like sent them a message a little while ago about because I know that they were like sending messages about adding like staff or whatever. Because I definitely want to take out the other guys from the podcast so that way they can go and hang out.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I'm excited for a good weekend.
Oh yeah. They have the little guest thing. Did you see that?
No, I have not.
Okay, so they gave out a like guest form that you can fill out.
Oh,
so
shit.
you can bring
Okay.
like, a guest. Yeah, so I don't know. It says only one, but I'm sure they wouldn't be mad if y'all. Are you bringing podcast? Are you going to set up the podcast there?
So I wanted to. I mean, obviously all the stuff that's going on with Barczyk and stuff like that. I didn't want to be like.
Oh,
I don't want to be a problem, you know. And then I saw that Forrest is going to be podcasting also, and I was like, fuck. Like I don't know if like I don't know how it's going to look. Me just being like, hey, can I also do this?
Just be like, Forrest, let me use your equipment. Like, you just send me the audio file. Everything's great.
The good thing about this is that it's super mobile. I literally fit it in just one case, like a little case. So I could set up wherever. And then I also thought about renting a room at the hotel and just doing it from the room. I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's kind of suspect if you do it that way, bro.
No. I think that's so. I'm not gonna like dive into this because I've changed my content a little bit.
Okay.
But I'm going more of that crazy, stupid, because that's how I actually am.
Okay.
That would be funny. Like, I think that would be gold.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
That would be good. I actually have a planned video. Me, KJ, and Alex Duff.
Okay.
I want to do drunk cooking in the
in
the hotel room, and because they're both Ohio boys, KJ's like, yeah, we're gonna like get hot dogs and like all that other stuff and like make these special chili dogs or whatever that are like classic from Ohio. I was like, we can do that. Well, KJ will not be because I think because he's 20.
Yeah.
So he will
definitely not do that.
Definitely not do that.
Because it's not allowed.
Not allowed, and I'm a good boy.
Yeah.
But it would be funny, and so that's a little bit more chaos fun.
Yeah. No, I think it'd be a cool idea. I don't know if you like follow like any comedy podcast, but there's one specifically that some guy named Bert Kreischer does. That whenever he's on tour, he'll like do one where it's just like, I mean, it's 3 mics and all the comedians just pass around the mics and just go on. So I'm like, damn, dude, like in my head, you know, that when we do this podcast, it's supposed to be more comedy based in the reptile industry, you know? So it's like if we just did that, just like a bunch of us just hanging out and just passing around the mic, talking shit, just like the real hangout, so that way people can see it.
Oh,
you know?
So I have thought many a times.
Okay.
To just do like Reptiles After Dark type deal.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Last year, here's your favorite influencer.
Yeah.
And he's passing Dan a joint. Like, I'm not gonna hit it, but because I can't even handle coffee, bro.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I make jokes. You know, I joke around a lot. I'll just be like, they're like, Dan, how you amped up? I'm like, ketamine, crack. And they're like, what? And then some of them take me seriously, and I'm like, no.
Like,
it's
definitely not that.
No, yeah, like I literally just am this.
Yeah.
No, it's like actually not that.
Yeah.
I can't even drink coffee. My heart starts beating too fast.
Dude, that's crazy, dude.
I drink water. Anyways, comedy. You guys should do the tiny mic. I love my tiny mic. It's not really high quality, but it's funny, and it's like this little stupid pissing freaking tiny mic. Oh,
so
it's
this
fun.
is the problem with that.
All
and
right.
not that it's a problem, but I'm like, because my background is music, so I'm like super picky with audio. So
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, it's that's a good thing.
Yeah. So I've definitely thought about it, and as a matter of fact, we thought about it with Chuck because he's doing social media again for the shop.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, we just gotta get a tiny mic and start interviewing customers and just ask them like ridiculous questions so that way they get discounts at the shop.
Yeah,
kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, it's great. I ordered the stupid little piston thing from Amazon, and it's like, oh, it's so fun. I like that though. The comedy bit.
Yeah.
I was like, there's not enough.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, every reptile tuber right now just is kind of the same. You got the people who live on a farm that are like vlogging the farm.
Yeah.
Or like whatever the heck. You get the people that are like going to the reptile shows, just vlogging the reptile shows. And as fun as that is, Dan wants to spend 2 months building a robot turtle that is controlled by a live turtle that shoots plastic straws at famous YouTubers.
Yeah.
Dan wants to build a robot that makes a tortoise that goes 60 miles an hour because I think it would be funny. No tortoises would be put in danger.
Jeopardy.
Is it just audio or is it video too?
Video too.
No tortoises will be put in jeopardy. Don't worry, I will use clever editing and you won't know the difference, but it'll... Funny, stupid... Oh, when is this going to come out? I don't want someone to take this idea.
It'll be a week or two.
Okay, then I'm not going to say the other idea, but it's a really good one and it'll be funny. Point being, like the snake discovery, I just went and did the build off.
Yeah.
I'm almost done with that video, and it is just... Everyone else is like, what up, gang? It's your boys at Snake Discovery, and now I'm going to build a Snake Discover. It's like, cool. Mine is like just not that crazy. We got some no words.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. I mean, dude, like, in the end of the day, I think that the best way to get to know the people that you like to watch is definitely one through comedy, but transparency. And you got to give your authentic self. And there's, a lot of the times behind, in front of the camera, it's a persona, and that's the shit that me personally, I'm not about. Because the thing is that I've tried doing I'm walking around this reptile show. I'm taking videos. This is that. And I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy that at all. I found that I really like doing this podcast, number one. And number two, we started doing videos. We haven't released them yet. They're going to be like additional videos attached to the same channel that this podcast comes out. But it's like 7 to 10 minute videos. And it's like kind of some guessing games. And we're pitting against each other doing like little things for challenges. And it's like we are really being ourselves during those videos. It's not going to be the check out my reptile room, but it's more like, oh, these are the people, we're doing reptile-related shit, but it's like we're having fun, exactly.
I love that. Are we allowed to curse on this?
Of course, dude.
Okay, so it's
kind
of like...
fucking time.
All right, so it's like, do I want to keep the persona of like, I am good and family friendly because that's what I have on my shorts. Or it's like, what's up, cocksuckers? Welcome back to the fucking podcast. Today we're gonna suck dick for money.
Yeah.
Like I don't like I don't know. So I'm starting to let the cracks leak because one of my friends told me, big popular boy, he's one of the like South Florida fishing channels, and he was like, Dan, like that video, the one that I released with the robot turtle, it's robot turtle versus famous YouTuber. This guy Michael Reeves. I don't know if you know him, but he's like, that video was you, which is all over the place, fast paced, crazy, way too much effort for a stupid fucking joke. Yeah. And I'm like, but that's what I do. Yeah. Like that's the me. I had to learn programming. I had to work on this thing for 2 months. I had to I had to build an app. I don't.
How the fuck?
I don't know how to build a fucking app. I don't know how to do that. I had to learn how to do that because I thought it would be funny. And then I made the best eight and a half minute video of my life. And I was like, I need to do that. Another thing I want to, so before Animal Con, one of my friends and I were going to go herping, whatever. I think it would be funny if Batman went herping in the Everglades, and I want to get just like a whole ass Batman outfit and like make it super cinematic and like go catching pythons.
And I think that if that's authentically who you are,
it is. And
when people come up to you at these shows, if that's authentically who they get, then that's the shit that you got to do. You know, and the reality is me personally, I literally seldom do I intake animal-related content. The only content that I take in is comedy and Marvel shit. That's it. That's the only fucking content. So when I look at like the actual YouTube channels that I follow, I'm like, I want to do those kinds of things for the industry that I'm in.
That is literally exactly what I'm doing. Yeah. And that's the only reason I've been able to do that is because of like all the bullshit that I went through. Like I had half my critters died on loan when I loaned them out. I had no choice but to loan them out, and then they got a weird, crazy freaking herpes virus that took them out. Man. And so it's like, if I was not forced to downsize this hard, I have 14 turtles right now. Like that's it. I would never have started exploring this avenue. And I think that if my previous stuff took off, I would never start doing like, okay, I'll tell the idea, because who else is going to put in the time and effort to build this robot? And even if you do, it's not going to be as good as mine.
There you go.
Making a shrimp that can fry rice, like getting a cherry shrimp and putting a little camera on it. Someone already did it. I forget the dude's name. I'm going to credit him in my video, though. But literally, wherever the little shrimpy moves, it'll add different things, and then up or down the heat, and then mix it and stir it, and then I don't know, figure out some joke, some little one-liner at the end or some stupid shit. But
that's great.
That's combined industry and comedy. I was like, that's doable. Even if it's like loosely reptile based, even if it's just at a reptile based event.
I love how this conversation turned out, because we could have easily spent like 20 minutes talking turtles, but this is fucking better. I love this.
It's a because everyone has the little, like, I don't like to say persona, although a little bit, because I'm not true. I'm like 85-90% me.
Well, of course, you gotta be there where it's needed.
Yes. Yeah. That 10% that I've held back though is crackhead, psychotic, stupid. Yeah. Some have even said undiagnosed autistic.
Jesus Christ.
Unconfirmed. Jesus can't help you now, dude. That's it. I told you. It's like
I love
that
it.
one podcast where Joey Diaz was on Alex Jones, and he's like, "Dog, can I cuss? Can I curse on this podcast?" And Alex Jones was like, "We try not to curse." And he's like, "Dog, I put a little 8-ball under my left nut because my left nut's bigger than my right nut because I'm a lefty. I thought I had cancer for 2 weeks." He went off.
So
Point
good.
is, as soon as you give him permission, as soon as I get green light,
there you go.
That's it. We could have talked U.S. ARC, FWC bad, U.S. ARC good. Yeah. Turtle species. Nightmare.
Yeah.
Much more fun, more authentic.
No, I like this.
It's like just where I'm going. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And my whole thing is I'm going to do 10 videos like that where it's me, as fun as I want to, with the music I want to, doing stupid things. And if it doesn't work, I give it a try. Then I'll figure something else that'll work.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate
you. Of
Hell
course,
yeah, dude.
dude.
I'm sitting here with the man of the hour, bro. the hottest topic ever these days in the reptile community, Darien from MorphMarket. How you doing, man?
Not bad.
Yeah?
Having a good time here at the show.
Yeah. Anybody pressure you? Anybody fucking get on you about
No, it's been
you?
pretty good, yeah.
It's crazy that when you're like face to face with people, they tend to not say anything.
Yeah, they don't really say anything at all, yeah. Yeah.
So these days, I feel like the majority of the pressure has passed. I feel like people are starting to get a little bit easier with like some of these changes in MorphMarket. I know you and I have had a couple conversations on the phone and stuff like that. And personally, a lot of these changes haven't affected me. At first, I did have some like issues, but I always find that I don't have to agree with everything to be okay with some things, you know?
Yeah.
But I think the future is bright with MorphMarket, man. How are you feeling about it these days?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is there anything new that's coming up that?
Yeah, we've got payment processing coming out.
Yep.
Here real soon. That's getting real close.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got MorphMarket Plus. That's going to be pretty fun.
Okay, what's that?
So that will be $5 a month for buyers.
Okay.
And it'll be a
it's kind of like a verification thing.
Yeah, so basically what you'll get, it'll be $5 a month. Most of that will go directly to U.S. Ark and conservation.
Okay.
And then what's left over gets used for giveaways and, things like that.
Okay.
Kind of like promotional things.
Okay.
But one of the biggest things is that it gives people a verified buyer badge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be really good for, sellers to be able to see like who's like
Who's
a paying,
serious.
who's serious.
Yeah.
And then the other cool thing is it's actually going to, so how it's going to work is you're going to get VIP access to listings.
Okay.
So as a MorphMarket Plus buyer, and then also as a regular seller on MorphMarket, you're now going to have 24-hour early access to listings.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to delay listings by 24 hours. So you post an ad,
Okay.
and for the first 24 hours, the only people who are actually going to see that animal are going to be other sellers on the platform, and then MorphMarket Plus buyers. So it's going to be kind of like an incentive and like a VIP access, program.
And the best part is like you just got something out, and the people that are going to be messaging you are more than likely serious about what they're trying to
and it's probably going to happen in the first 24 hours before everybody sees the animal.
Yeah,
so it gives current sellers on MorphMarket more of a VIP access to other animals for sale on the platform, which I think is beneficial. That way you don't just have random people out there reaching out, going to buy an animal. Like these are, in the first 24 hours, it's only going to be other sellers and MorphMarket Plus buyers. So
cool, man.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I do think that's cool. I've talked it over with my partners and stuff like that, specifically with the MorphPay stuff, because I know I've spoken to you about like how I get concerned about my website becoming obsolete because of MorphMarket.
Yeah.
But I think like the important key is that I had to realize that the majority of my sales were coming from MorphMarket anyways. I was directing people to my website from MorphMarket personally. And so what I would do going forward because of the payment processing is that I just change the way that I function. It's though it's a little bit of a hit of where I am right now, but if I'm able to do a little bit of these changes, I can stay with the times. And I think that is such a key thing, is that a lot of people are stuck on the way that things used to be, and they're not okay with change. And you have to be able to bring in all these new things and be a little bit progressive with these things that are going on to be able to stay in the front, So I figured that if I could just, instead of running a Shopify website like I do something a little bit more basic, maybe like a Wix that's just a couple dollars a month, where it's like a landing page essentially, and then the availability will link to MorphMarket, and then I'll still be able to have some of my merch up, and stuff like that. So I think,
and we're not going to require, we're not going to require payment processing. It's completely optional.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sellers, it really won't affect anything if people don't want it to. Sellers that do want to have it where people can literally just buy right there and everything's handled within MorphMarket, great. Otherwise they could still send people to their website, if they want to. But if you want to, a lot of people don't want to spend the extra money. If they're spending $100-$200 a month on a website, you know, and whatever else they're using, you know, some sort of e-commerce platform, then, you know, $11 a month or $20 a month for MorphMarket and being able to do the payment processing and everything right there is definitely more cost effective, and it might be a better thing, especially with how we're branding stuff now. So we're really focusing on that, like more branding for the pages, you know, potentially even like hiding the MorphMarket logo a little bit and making it like your page, like making things a lot more brand, you know, brandable.
And that's something that I care about for sure. And that's the thing though, it's like I pay just as much as I do for my website for MorphMarket, and it would make sense for me to go direct with everything just straight to MorphMarket because I'm getting my sales through there. You know, and at the end of the day, like if that's the reality, I can save myself a few $100s a year just by not being on that platform, of being on like you know, Shopify and stuff like that.
And some people could save thousands a year. Because I mean, there's a lot of e-commerce platforms and websites, and like if you're paying somebody else to manage the stuff, a lot of people are paying somebody, you know, a few $100 a month just to.
And I think through like seller behavior, I think that sellers will feel more secure buying direct on the platform that they're on, instead of like somebody being like, well, I can buy some of this stuff on the website, but I can't buy your stuff, and then you're sending me to a different website. It might be a little confusing for sellers. So at that point, I feel like it makes more sense. So I, you know, at the end of the day, like the future is bright with a lot of these things. It's about like following what's going on and then finding your own path. How do you feel about like some of the like competitive websites that are coming out these days, like people that are trying to come out with new things?
I mean, I'm not worried about it. It's, you know, competition's not a bad thing. I don't think any of them are really going to get, you know, real close to what MorphMarket is, just because there's a lot of costs, a lot of time involved. And, you know, it's a lot of it also is, you know, the, I guess, legitimacy of things. And you know, a lot of people see, you know, okay, MorphMarket's doing this, this, and this. I'm going to buy all my animals through there because I know that, you know, there's less chance that I'm going to get ripped off or something. Because I could go to some random breeder's website and I don't know enough about that breeder. You know, maybe, you know, they're not going to send me what I, you know, I'm actually buying. You know, and a lot of the other platforms, you know, they don't have the same, you know, they're getting a lot of the people to join who either quit or were kicked off of MorphMarket over the years. And so it kind of like lowers the quality of what's on those sites.
Understood. So, and I think that some people don't realize, like, it's not as simple, and this is going to get a little bit like in the nerdy field of it, but it's not as simple as I have a website, therefore you can find me. You know, you got your SEO, and then you might even have all the SEO that you're going to need, but that doesn't mean that you have power over the domain. And the fact of the matter is that MorphMarket is a platform that has power over the domain, has SEO. The fact that we're all posting our ads, you know, our images, the titles of the images, all of that stuff is traceable. All of those things are keywords that gives MorphMarket a lot of power. So if you're coming out with a platform these days, it's like, don't think that it's going to be, you know, a swing and you're off to the races. That's just not the reality. And not to shit on one of the platforms that will be coming out these days, but a big catch for that platform, you know, if it does come out, is the auction side of it. And me personally, I used to work for one of the, before I did this stuff that I'm doing, I used to work for one of the more prominent reptile auctions. And through that process, I got to see kind of what the customer base was, and I understood that the majority of that customer base probably shouldn't be buying some of these animals, you know, because at the end of the day, they're kind of like taking like the cheap way out to get the animal. They're not, you know, and if you think about it like that, like they want cheap animal, they probably are not going to offer it the best care kind of thing.
For sure.
You know, so I personally am not a big fan of auctions because of that experience that I had with it. And I did see that you posted, like, if people wanted, you know, auctions on MorphMarket. What was, like, the response that you got?
Majority said
Okay.
If we were to do it, we would make it a much smaller part of the website. It would be very, you know, very limited. So, you know, we might limit it to one animal per seller, you know, at a time. something like that where it's like you can't
almost
kind of
like
a
sale incentive.
Yeah, it's more of like a, oh, hey, we're auctioning this off this week, like more of an advertising thing and not so much of like, oh, all of our animals are auctions now, like eBay or something.
Yeah.
So I would do it in a way that it's definitely more exclusive and not just like, here you go, here's reptile auction. So some of the competitor sites, they're doing auctions and they're going to do all these other things. And
I don't think that they realize what that does for the retail side of it.
Yeah, it's going to affect the market.
100%.
It's going to affect the industry.
Yeah.
It's going to affect, the people who are buying. Now it's like, oh, I can get this for $30 plus shipping. Okay.
Why would I go? Or it's even going to become a thing where seller behavior might say, hey, let's say this 3-gene ball python is $300 right now, but over here on the auction it's going for $100. I'm not going to spend that $300 now. You're literally killing your market doing that kind of stuff. But man.
So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not, but I think that it's definitely worth looking into at least.
Yeah, especially if the demand is there for something like that.
Yep.
Cool, bro. Well, I am excited for these changes. In the end of the day, like whether or not I agree with everything you're going to do, I believe in a clean and progressive industry.
Yeah.
I believe that we need to hit a little bit more of the mainstream. And if we're going to do that, we got to make sure things are okay. Because that's how we get a future.
Especially dealing with live animals.
Yeah, man.
It's not like any other industry.
Yeah.
We can't just say, this is just like the,
this
some
is
other
not
hobby.
Yeah, these are not the people on Etsy selling mugs and stuff like that.
Yep.
I saw a comment about that earlier and stuff like that. But in the end of the day, dude, like people that don't do reptiles see this and they're confused. They're like, why is this animal in a cup? Why is this animal in a plastic cage with no lighting? They don't understand these things. Yep. My wife, when I was like, because I'm not like bred and born reptile keeper. I'm not. I was a touring musician. After I finished touring, I got a turtle and I fell in love. And turtles and tortoises, ball pythons and blue tongues, everything was from there, right? When I had to explain to my wife, which was my girlfriend at the time, that I wanted to breed ball pythons in these racks, in these plastic tubs, she was confused. And that is the general consensus across people outside of this fucking community. So we have to understand that people don't understand what it is that we're doing. So we have to try our best to strive for a better future.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool, man. Are you keeping anything these days? What's up with you outside of MorphMarket, man?
I mean, we keep a lot of different things. So personally, I don't have anything at home anymore.
Okay.
Traveling and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't have the time, and but one of our pet stores is like 3 minutes from my house, so it's like it's right there. But I keep a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
And at our warehouses and all that. But we've got a lot of really cool stuff. So, opening our Reptarium here in 2 weeks.
Cool.
So that'll be awesome.
Here?
In Wichita.
Oh, okay. I was like, fucking here? Yeah. Cool, man. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I think that obviously another reptile zoo is going to be a good thing. People are going to get more and more exposed to that kind of stuff, and all around it's a win, dude.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I'm looking forward to your future, dude. I know that people these days have all kinds of issues and shit like that, but the biggest thing that we try to do on this podcast, specifically when it's with like Chuck and Tino, it's like we don't agree on everything.
Yeah.
We just try to have discourse, we try to have fun, we try to fucking laugh. And the end of the day, dude, like we're a bunch of fucking nerds playing with these animals, dude. Like it's usually not that deep.
Gotta have a conversation,
Yeah.
Yep.
But thank you. Yep. I hope that we can meet up soon to do a big podcast with the other guys down in Orlando and stuff like that.
Sure.
If you want to support us, head on over to modernreptileshop.com or in the description where you can find our merch. And the best part is that a % of the proceeds from the merch gets donated to conservation. One more time, that's modernreptileshop.com or head on over to the description.
What's up, man?
Lewis.
Yes, sir.
My guy, it's an honor to fucking meet you in person. Yesterday.
Pleasure. Yeah, man.
Hell
It's been a long time.
Yeah, dude. Chuck tells me always good stories about you.
Oh. I plead the fifth. He's not here, right? Yeah, I plead the fifth.
He's actually right behind you. He's watching. Oh, man, dude. So, listen, I am a big fan of Birds of Prey.
Cool. Me too.
I got into reptiles out of association pretty much with my dad has bred birds my whole life. And pretty much like I have horrible allergies, so I knew that dealing with animals with feathers or fur, it wasn't going to be my thing. You know, got into reptiles, but as I've like, you know, continued my thing, I'm like, dude, I still want to get into this.
Yeah.
How does somebody get into this?
That's a very, it's a good question with a very diverse answer to them. I started with reptiles. The bird thing was never a dream. It was never a thought. It was nothing that even was in my solar system for birds. And I started with reptiles when I was 16 years old. Then one day I was taking care of a hawk, a common buzzard from Europe. And I started working with it, and that's how the obsession began. So it just happened. It was a mistake, basically.
Yeah.
The other thing about birds, especially birds of prey, that is an illusion. People see a big owl or something being held. It's like, I want to do that until you get the animal. Then it's like, this sucks. He's not going to deliver mail to you. He's not going to give you cuddles. Every potter's not real, bro. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of, they're very intelligent, and you have to put a lot of time into them. It's not like a dog or a cat where you teach them how to sit and stay once, and then you can leave for a week and come back and do it. It stays there.
Even like, you know, even if you compare it to a reptile, it's something that has like rules for caging specifically.
Yes,
like
caging, feeding, you know? They eat every single day. They are a bird of prey. They're not going to be cuddly. So my best advice is start working at a rehab place.
Okay.
A wildlife rehab, start working with the animals, how to take care of them, different diseases, different medications, give better advice, especially in the baby season. Everybody sees a little bird, they need to take it home and debunk a lot of myths. Birds can't really smell. So it's like if you touch it, the parents smell you, they're not going to go there. It's like, it don't work like that. You know, sometimes those animals are way more hardier than we think that they are. So start off in a rehab and learn those ways to do things, and then networking through different places, different organizations and conservation groups, and then you find your favorite bird and then do whatever
That's your
you gotta
thing.
do. So it could be a long road and a short road. It's just how much time you want to put into it.
So when I was a kid, I used to see a bunch of different down in Miami, a bunch of different hawks, you know, and you know, as I grew older, I saw less and less hawks, obviously because of construction. Now I moved to Central Florida. I see osprey. I see swallowtail kite. It's
you see red-shouldered hawks.
Red-shouldered hawks. I mean, I have my tortoises outside, so I'm always looking for these hawks. You know, there's an osprey that lays her nest every year on the tree in my backyard. You know,
you find fish heads.
I see. There's a tree on the way to one of like my favorite parts of town that it's like it's a lot, right? It's just like somebody has like some cattle, so it's like a quarter acre. And it has 2 long trees, no, like a couple branches, but not a lot of bushes. The one that has a couple bushes, every year, bald eagle lays its nest there.
They find their home, and it's like, that's my home. And
even if they're migratory, even being migratory, there's like they're coming back there.
They know that that's a safe place. You know, there's food not far from there. It's like most of us. If there's a nice shopping center nearby and I live here, it's a good place.
Exactly,
you know?
dude.
Same thing with them.
You know, is there any specific like species that you found that you are more akin to? Like it's like, oh, like this is the shit that I like working with.
Well, as deep as I am to the animal world, my favorite animals make no sense.
Okay.
So like my favorite animal on earth is a white-tailed deer.
Okay.
I don't know why. I love those things. Tastes good.
Tastes good, cool. He says.
My dream is to have a little farm. Like I love those animals. And birds is probably a red-tailed hawk. I love red-tailed hawks. There's just so much diversity with them. They can do so much, and I am really like that is my jam.
Nice.
That I personally own. Leonidas, my eagle owl, that's my wingman. You know, that's my boy since the beginning. He's the one who's guided me to where I'm at and everything else. So every bird is like every reptile. You know, you could love tortoises, but one species, not that it's better, but it caters to you a little better than others.
Yeah.
So I have different birds, different personalities, some different situations. You know, I like to work one with better than the other on the situation, not that I dislike the other one.
Yeah, so. Is it similar, like a permitting process as far as here in Florida, like as crocodilians? Like you got to get hours?
Well, it depends. You have the falconer, which you have to be have a sponsor, 2 years as an apprenticeship. Then you have to build your enclosure and everything else, and pass a test, and then you could become a falconer. Then you have also with the bigger other exotics, other birds, and those, it depends on the species and different laws that between state lines and things like that. And then some of them are very expensive.
Yeah.
So it's little things that it depends. Yeah.
Beautiful.
But it's an animal, like I said before. It's just something that is an illusion of how amazing, because what you see other people do, but the work that goes into it.
Yeah. It's a labor of love.
Yes,
it's not. It's
you have
not
to love
result.
it. They have strong feet. They're not gonna cuddle you and things like that. So it's a lot to tolerate. Very rewarding if you put the time into it.
For sure. Now tortoises, bro. You got tortoises on your table. Chuck tells me that you're a tortoise
I love
nut.
Tortoises.
Yeah, I started when I got into the reptiles. My passion is actually turtles and tortoises.
Yeah.
I've kept a bunch of different species. Different testudo as far as like Hermans, Russians, Golden Greeks. I've had some yellowfoot, redfoot, sulcata, just like the basic shit.
Yeah.
But it's that 100% is where like my passion is.
Oh yeah. Tortoises is. It's like having a herd of dogs in your backyard.
Exactly.
They live so long, they're so hardy, and they're so different within the same species. Like personality-wise.
Yeah, dude.
I think you can't go wrong with them.
100%, dude. And I ended up working with other species in response to what I want out of my life in the reptile industry.
Yeah.
I started with ball pythons and some blue tongues because I want that to be the front for, like, as far as like business point of view, so that way I can have time to just have a bunch of tortoises, not worry about the finances with the tortoises, just have the animals that I actually like to work with, do some conservation with that kind of stuff, because that is where my passion personally is.
Well, that's good, because right now in the state of Florida, we need a lot of help and conservation with the gopher tortoise.
Yeah.
So a few native species of tortoise, and we're taking all their land away.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I'm starting to work with Chase Sanctuary and the Gopher Games. I'll give you more information on that.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's something that is true. The tortoise is such an amazing animal, and we don't care for them. Especially gophers. Everybody wants to build something new.
Yeah.
Take them out. Where are you going to put them?
I feel like everybody appreciates looking at a tortoise, but doesn't actually appreciate the tortoise.
Of course, because it just makes sense.
Yeah.
It has its own home. It's in a shell. Doesn't talk to you. Does what it wants. It's you have to love that animal as well. But it's so important. I think we also get blinded by the exotic world. I love them. Like I said, I've had cherry heads and redfoots and all that crazy stuff. But when we see something that we have here every day, we forget about it.
Yeah.
And it's very unfortunate, because people from all over the world are the opposite of us. Like if we go, let's say you go to Australia, you see a bearded dragon or a blue-tongued skink, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is my dream. Somebody
I'd
from
lose my
Australia
fucking shit.
comes over here, sees a soft-shelled tortoise or a corn snake, and they're like, oh my God. And we're like, all right.
Like, he's just there, dude. Like,
exactly.
Unless you're Chuck. Chuck loves seeing corn snakes. That dude's crazy.
Chuck is weird.
Chuck is weird.
Chuck
be weird.
For being 3 foot tall, he's a weird dude.
If he's 3 feet, how big am I? God damn, dude. Listen, so before we get off, Chuck did tell me to ask you about a tortoise story in Africa. I don't know if that's something that you can talk about.
Stories? Yeah. The leopard tortoises.
Okay.
Last year, actually it's a year this month, that I went on a trip to Africa with Blake from Blake Stock Animal Ranch.
Yeah.
We spent a week out there, and our goal was to find reptiles. Although we got to see everything else, but our goal was to reptiles. Unfortunately, we didn't plan it too great. We were there in winter.
Oh, nice.
So we're in South Africa. It's freezing. It's like 45 degrees, 50 degrees, raining. So for us, it's cold.
Yeah.
And we found 2 leopard tortoises just walking in this.
That's crazy.
And we looked at each other. We're like, if that was in Florida, I think they would have died from a respiratory already.
Yeah, dude.
And this thing is just walking, minding his own business, eating. And it's this huge plane, and we see like a rock moving, and Blake was the one who spotted it, and we just took off to see this animal, and we got to hold it and see it in a wild leopard tortoise. And it was amazing, because we never thought that you were going to see something like that compared to how we keep them here. They're all it's very easy to get respiratory, too much humidity. And no, it's freezing, raining, and this thing is just grazing in the field.
What do you think? So when I think about that, I think about what is the outward health of the animal? How does it feel, like the weight? What is it doing differently as far as its behavior over there that
I honestly think it's diet. I honestly think it's diet and just being part of that environment. I think that, and I'm guilty of it, we have a cookie cutter setup on how things are getting taken care of. They have to eat every single day. They can only eat 3 different meals. They have to have this and have that, which we assume on most of it because most people haven't seen those animals in real life, right? I do try to travel as much as possible. My goal is to see something that I have owned in my life or bred to see what I could make it better to that personal environment. But I don't know. Those animals, they don't get studied that much, so it's hard to be like, this grass is better, this environment, who knows? Who knows? But we did see them. And
cool.
It was freezing. And we're like, man, this is crazy that it lives like that. And it was wintertime, so during the summer, obviously, it's hot with no rain and things like that. But it was, I think that's the main thing. I think is environment that we don't produce the proper habitat for it. We assume what the proper habitat is.
Very cool, man.
That's why I think it's so important that any chance you get, travel to these places and make it, it's not a vacation, it's an experience. And as keepers, I think for me personally, I learn more seeing than reading.
100%.
So if I get the feeling, I see the vegetation, I see all that stuff, it's going to be a lot different than we have here. The first time I saw a yellowfoot in the wild, we walked by it 3 times, we didn't know it was there.
Wow.
Because we don't understand how even the camouflage, you don't understand, how does the camouflage in a redfoot work? It has white, yellow dots. The reason why is because the forest is very dense, so only a little bit of sunshine get to the bottom. So when you're walking in the thick forest, all you see is dots of sunlight, right?
Wow,
that's the top of that forest. So you could walk by it. If it's not moving, you're not going to see it.
I never thought about that, man.
So that's the things that is like, man, I can't believe that. I see this every day. I've owned it for years. How does it survive in a forest being a tortoise? Well, that's how it does it. So it makes no sense. But now it's like, oh snap! Every time I walk in the woods or something, all you see is little lights, and that's how it works.
You are a wealth of knowledge, my friend.
I googled everything this morning. Chucky gave me all this information.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Well, dude, thank you so much.
Man,
for
it's been
this,
a pleasure.
We got to do a full one with Chuck and Tino.
Hey, man,
it'll
when
be
you guys
fun.
are ready, I'm down, man.
Yeah, man.
I respect for you guys. You guys are doing a good thing. You're outspoken and speak for not the common things. And
thank you.
Everybody has an opinion, but I have respect for you guys. So
thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right,
well, I'm looking at your table just now.
Yeah.
You have, I think it's an Argentine rainbow boa.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are insane.
Yeah,
Whatever about those.
Okay, so at this show, let's rewind this show 20 years. That was a $75 snake, and then you can find it all in here like a fucking Kenyan Sambo.
Damn.
Really?
Damn. That's
and
insane.
then and you know what people say? It's not orange. Like a Brazilian.
Yeah,
I really like these, but it's not orange like a
orange.
Brazilian. Right, and it's also not nearly as hard to take care of.
Really?
Because
the humidity's not that high?
No, they're Argentine. They're cool. Cool weather.
Right,
cool weather, so you don't have to keep them hot, so you don't roast all the humidity out of the cage. And most people keep shit cool naturally in their house. So if you want a pet snake, a pet rainbow boa, and it has pattern.
Yeah.
So like if we took the baby, it looks a lot like a baby Colombian would look without the extra melanin that it gets. That I assume is from the hot climate being north.
Okay.
And the montane climate being up to Argentina, right?
Do they still have the iridescence?
Still have the
iridescence,
iridescence.
right? Yeah, perfect.
It's a little bit harder to see indoors.
Sweet. Okay.
But outdoors, they still bling like crazy.
Dope,
right?
dope. How do you keep the adults together? Or
I don't keep them together, although I could. That male over there is about half grown of what my female is, and the female I have
so they stay smaller.
Yeah, the female I have is 23.
Okay.
Or, well, not 23. She's probably more like 16, 17.
Sweet, dude.
And I can't remember breeding her last because they just weren't worth it.
And
the problem with rainbow boas is, you're either going to ship it or you're going to sell it at a show.
Right.
Either way, it's going to be in a less than favorable environment for them.
A period of time,
okay, now crested geckos and all, all the New Caledonia is very sensitive to cool weather, rainforest. Easy to do in American home.
Of course.
Hard to do in American shipping.
Yeah.
Or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to the rainbow boas, what we found was the cheaper the rainbow boa is, the more it gets killed by the plebs. The regular people, the regular old douches on that side of the table that don't take
you keep
the
turtles
advice.
cheaply.
Exactly.
People are going to buy them. They're going to
you
kill
buy
them.
at least Turtle Lagoon as a number one step. You're fucked. You might as well stomp it for the sound.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And for that point, I have to say the late Tom Burke. It goes back to Tom Burke.
Okay.
At maybe this show, I asked Tom Burke, I said, so what did you do before you did all the lipstick, sunglows, and all that stuff? It's maybe 2004, 5, 6.
Okay.
And Tom said, I did Brazilian rainbow boas. And I was like, really? Why'd you stop? He's like, motherfuckers kill them so bad. It's awful. It's awful.
Yep. Yeah.
And he said, and I'm telling you right now, it was fine when they were $350. It was fine when it was a little bit worse when they were $250.
Yeah.
When those bitches got down to $75, I would sell like 100 Brazilians in Orlando, Daytona,
Daytona,
right? This show, NRBE, right? They'd sell 100 of them at NRBE, and like 40 of them would die within 2 weeks, and I had to deal with angry people.
Yeah, dude.
It sold me 6 snakes, right? You sold me a 6 snake,
Yeah,
right?
I know.
And in that sense, it's like, no, I didn't sell you a 6 snake. I sold a snake to an ignorant buyer.
Yeah.
You know, and that. So he told me, he said, Sean, be careful with the rainbow boa market other than Colombians, and people don't like Colombians. They're not pretty, and they're not friendly, although they are now, but they weren't back in the day. They were kind of heralded as a bit of aggressive, I would think.
They almost all are a little bit. Especially as babies. They're just
they
really
live on.
nippy.
Yeah, but think about it. They're the blood python of South America, right? They live in the muck. They have the clean, like the rubbery skin, like a mud snake or anaconda or whatever. And so in that, I told Tom, I said, I have an idea, and he said, what? I was like, I want to buy hypos from EBV, from East Bay Barbarian, from the Mike Lockwood line, which we didn't even know Mike's name. It was just EBV then.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, how much they want? I said, $9,000 for a hypo and a female het. But the female het was 2.5 years old, almost ready to lay,
so
breed.
ready.
And I was like, dude, it's turnkey.
Yeah.
It's $9,000. I'd already spent money on ball pythons. And I was like, can I sell a rainbow boa for $5,000? And I sold the first ones to Dave Colling of Rainbows R Us. Who's a huge fucking company now, right? He's Mr. Rainbow Boa in my opinion. I don't think anybody other than Ian at Outback, Ian and Outback and him.
Yeah.
From one being in California and one being East Coast Virginia or whatever, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, East Coast, West Coast vibe.
Yeah.
They're the baddest motherfuckers in the game, and nobody in the middle is anywhere near them. You know, so it was kind of neat to see that project. And when I came out with them at $5,000, I only hatched like 7 of them.
Yeah.
But I sold them all. Dave bought 2. This other guy bought 1. Bam, 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 bam. And I'm like, wow.
Insane.
And nobody ever killed one.
Wow.
I sold the hets for $2,500. Nobody ever killed one.
Yep. Because only the right people are getting them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how
Because
it
if
works.
you pay that much money for something, you're going to do
make
the
sure,
thing.
Yeah, you're going to make sure it doesn't die.
And you're not going to need a professional like you or I to tell you,
Exactly.
now you need to get a thermostat for your heat pad because, you know, and it's
For
like,
real.
how do you breed a species that you love, that you're so fascinated with, that everyone wants and loves, and you know they're going to mistreat to death? It's a male ornate Eurymastix. It's a red-eyed Tribulinotus, which is a crocodile red-eyed armored crocodile skink. Baby dinosaurs on Facebook,
oh my gosh,
bro.
I love them. Oh, the little green turtles.
And how many of them died,
All of them.
right? And I mean, I can even liken it to my saltwater and freshwater aquarium store, bro. Clownfish. Finding Nemo. Every clownfish in North America is captive bred under easy conditions, and you can keep it in your toilet bowl with enough salt that doesn't have iodine in it.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's let Wayne do his thing real quick.
Yeah.
So, ultimately, you have Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a clownfish tank. What came after Finding Nemo? Finding Dory.
That's right, yeah.
No blue tang has ever been captive bred ever in any aquarium institution ever in the history of ever. But now they're starting to breed that kind of stuff with hormones and with other things. But nobody's ever bred them to a commercially viable status, especially not anything these fuckers can afford.
Right.
When we go to a show like this and a new saltwater species is bred for the first time, like an angelfish or a tang,
everybody loses their minds.
bro, no, they start off at $8,000 to $12,000 a piece, and they have a tank full of little baby ones this big swimming around, and it says sold on it because it was sold before the fucking show even opened. Right? It was sold because those shows are a week long. Like it's cool. Magna starts set up on Monday, opens to the public Friday morning, stays open 3 days for the public. That's a great show.
That's awesome.
You get to see everything. You get to talk to everyone. You get to buy from who you want. That's what I wish that we would do.
Yeah,
That's
that would be dope.
Right, but back to the rainbow boas, that was the key. Don't have the cheap shit,
Yeah.
and you won't have it. I even went to a reptile show not long ago. I'm not going to mention the company's name.
Whatever.
And I rolled by his table, and he said, oh, there he is. There's the guy that sold us all those rainbow boas that died. And I'm like, let me guess.
Yeah.
You bought them on a Saturday at a Texas show out of a deli cup with a liner. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. And you bought more than one? And he's like, yeah, we bought 4. And I'm like, you bought 4 to raise up or you bought 4 to resell? And he's a reseller.
Yeah.
Cups and cups and cups and cups, 4 tables, 5 tables of just deli cups reselling, right? I'm like, all right, man, I didn't sell you anything sick. I sold snakes to an ignorant buyer.
Yeah, yeah.
You have thousands of snakes, therefore you feel you're not ignorant.
No, yeah.
However, I'll tell you, I've killed every fucking black-headed python egg I've ever had in my possession because I'm an ignorant black-headed python incubator.
Yeah.
I could breed it, feed it, raise it, everything dead on what every Australian standard is.
Yeah.
Hatch it, I cannot do. I've even wanted to send the eggs to a friend of mine in Arizona
like, "Here,
just
you
to see if he can do it because of his relative humidity. But everybody I know that's a gangster is in Florida.
Yeah.
So why am I thinking in Louisiana I can't do it when Jason Hood does it in his sleep?
Literally.
You know? So, yeah,
I don't know,
like
man.
a species like that, I'm going to work with Brazilians so people piss me off.
Yeah.
And now I have them. Now I have some that I got from JMG. I got from Lil Jeff.
Yeah.
And they're red and orange. They're deep.
Insane.
And I say, Jeff, what are they? They're Bill Lamar strain. Lamar strain. Red, high red Brazilian rainbow boas. So what you're telling me is they're a hybrid. People look at me, what? What would they be hybridized with? You know much about rainbow boas? The giant one is red. Not orange. You know that orange, peel orange of a wild caught Brazilian? That's like it's orange still, but it's kind of faded a little bit.
Yeah.
The Peruvian rainbow boa, which is the gauge eye, is red, and it's also 8 feet long in the wild.
That's crazy.
So these animals are not as orange as a Brazilian you've seen in your trials, seeing imports.
So you're like,
they're not as red as a Peruvian or as large.
Yeah.
But they're orange or redder than any Brazilian you've ever seen. So if you see the Bill Lamar strain, I guarantee you, this is an armchair quarterback's fucking opinion that's based on 30 years of watching one species develop.
Yeah. You know, on your table, I also saw different colubrids, and so I love Elaph. That's my thing, specifically Orthreophis, using old taxonomy. But the beauty rat snakes are fantastic. On your table, I see the Ridley's Cave Racer.
Tenaura Ridley.
But you're saying they're Japanese. Are they from Japan? As far as I know, they're like
they are, but they were
Malaysia,
originally
Sumatra.
known as Japanese cave-dwelling rat snakes. I was under that impression along the way, so maybe I just need to go correct it.
Interesting.
But we did have a conversation with another breeder where he talked to me about the localities of them and shit. I was like, bro, I didn't even know they had localities or Ridley eyes.
Yep.
This is all whatever.
You know, to an extent, too, like, I think when people have, like, let's say an animal has a specific morph type, and then they have varying morph types naturally in the wild, like, say, Bell's phase versus normal phase of lace monitors. A lot of people are like, oh, it's a locality. I only got it from this area. This is where I found them. It's like, or they just have genetic variability. The animals will look different from each other in the wild, just like every other. So
I like
it could
that
be a
to
morph
like
type.
Lee Abbott over here with Okatee corn snakes. Lee Abbott, I came to this show the very first time when I was 15 in 1995, and Lee had a table.
Okay.
That's a lot to say about that dude. And he ain't that old. Like, he's no student. He ain't walking around with crutches and shit. He's not in a wheelchair. Not even using a Segway like Wayne. But he's been around that long.
Yeah.
Now, here's a fine example of a locality that becomes morph. Just because it says Okatee doesn't mean it was caught at the hunt club, near the hunt club. Its parents had anything related to
Not
it.
at all.
I essentially could hatch a Okatee-styled snake from a non-Okatee line, and by today's standards, call it an Okatee.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't work.
Okay.
My old school self says that's wrong.
I don't like that either.
That's wrong.
fucked up.
But everybody here would say, well, why is it not right?
Yeah.
And so I think we have the old school, new school. I had a guy over here ask me a legitimate opinion of what you think the market is like for hybridized colubrid tricolor to bicolor. And I'm like, fuck, bro. I hate that we're even here.
Why did you ask me this question?
But you can't lie that hypo cat eater is not an insane looking snake or a bat eater. I mean, so bro, hybrids in this pet sense.
Right here, there was a Carpondro, right?
And that's
in my head,
sick snake, dude. That's a sick fucking
I'm
snake,
looking at it and I'm like,
it's a clusterfuck.
But it's also like peak investment. Like when you think about it, because you're like, I get a normal jungle carpet, I get a normal green tree python. I put it together, boom, I now have a $1,200 baby. And it's like, that's insane. That's
the breeding
nuts.
is very hard from what I understand.
Yeah,
it's very
it's a piece of work.
challenging, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was once in the market for a Durango Mountain King snake, which is Greer Eye of it's Mexicana.
Okay.
But it's like Brookside is to Floridana.
Okay.
Unless they make Brookside its own species now.
I think it is its own species now.
Okay, well, let's retract. Let's rewind to old sense that I learned in that
Yeah.
I know you know.
Yeah.
Right?
Subspecies.
So if we go back to that, bring me back to it. Which species was it?
The Brookside Floridana.
The Brookside. If we go back to the Brookside, you remember when it just had the little hashes behind Floridana?
Yeah.
Then Theri and all those were Mexicanas, so it was Mexicana Theri.
Yeah.
But then there was Mexicana Greeri.
Okay.
And now I believe Greeri is
its own species.
Is its own, right? But it's basically a San Luis Potosi king snake, a Mex-Mex.
Yeah.
That the silver is green in the Durango Mountains. It's like a green. It's like a mossy.
Okay.
So it's like if your slate tile outside had a little bit of algae growing on it.
Yeah.
It's like that color.
That's dope.
It's dope. And then the red isn't like just red. It's red and it fades like to whitish peach in the middle. So it like starbursts out like, you know how Indian python to a Burmese. It's got the flare, like the fade, and it makes how it's sexy it is. It makes it look, you know. And so here we have a Greeri, and I'm in this show when I was 15 in '95, and I'm an aisle away, and I see across an aisle a guy's got a display cage of a perfect Greeri. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And I go over and it's a male, and it's exactly what I need. And so I'm waiting as a boy. I mean, I look like I was 5. I was waiting for this dude to give me some attention. And he finally, gives me some attention. And I'm like, man, I really love this Durango. And I was so starstruck by how beautiful this male was. And I was going to buy it at any cost, because my male died and my female was stellar.
So you needed it, whatever.
I needed it. And I got my male from like an old king snake gray band breeder, alternate page breeder. I knew it was authentic. I knew he had data on and everything.
Yeah.
I knew it was dead on, right? And I look at the guy and I'm like, man, this Durango is absolutely perfect. And he's like, oh, you don't know why? And I was like, why? And he's like, that's because I'm not a Durango. I was like, what? He said, it's a Mex-Mex, Sinaloan, Cow King, corn snake cross. And it came out looking like the perfect Durango mountain king snake you've ever seen.
That's insane.
The corn snake red, gave it the blush, and all of a sudden I see all the attributes, and I'm like, what are you, stupid? This is not what you thought it was. But
of course
in
it
a show,
looks
and you're excited, it's the only thing you're looking for, and that show was twice the size of this one is now. And, it's like, wow, you're just in a sea of fantasy, and this is the only one you have your eyes on. And as soon as my mouth dropped, and I'm like, bro, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
And he asked me his price list. Yeah, check me out. We do these orders, and he had a checklist, bro. You pay him on the site, you check what ones you want him, and he was going to hybridize those species for you. I was like, first of all, this is never going to work.
Yeah.
There was an old man standing next to me. It was probably about 70, 75. I thought he was going to go across the table on that dude like Mark Cantos and just fuck him up. I mean, I really did. And he was like, the ruining you're doing with this. And I'm like, bro, I almost bought that snake as the perfect Durango. And he said, son, if he would have said that was a Durango Mountain King snake and you wouldn't have bought it, I would have come and slapped you. And he's like, because he knew what he was talking about.
Right,
he was an old school guy.
Yeah, but people lie. People do shit.
Right.
We have 75% carpets. We have 75% Hog Island boas. It's like, why are people doing this? It's whatever.
And the old school of these animals, too, because let's be honest, we had 2 type of herpers back then. The herpers that hunted North America and the herpers that had enough money to travel.
Yep. And then
that's it.
Other places, a different ballgame.
That's it. So, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, of course.
That was
for coming
something.
on, bro.
And, as far as the cave-dwelling rat snakes and stuff like that, I think those were just all of that stuff was imported at the time and called all kind of different things. And the only thing I ever really worked on in Teddy Ura other than Ridley was I did the Blue Beauties and the Taiwanese rat snakes also.
I have Beauties. I have the Grabowski. I just got my first Ridley eye, so we'll see.
So, and as far as the Ridley eye locales are concerned, I'll have to check up on that based on the color of the adult.
I look for the color of the adults. I'm like, as long as you got beautiful adults, I'll take a baby. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
I just don't know what everybody thinks they're beautiful, but they also don't have a comparative.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't really know. I'll send you guys a picture of what I got, and maybe you can give me an opinion.
For sure, dude.
Since we have a rapport and all that stuff. So thanks for having me over here, dude.
Of course, dude.
Cool
always.
thing. I like what you guys do. I like the energy, the vibe. The young dude's doing the young thing. I don't know why I'm the old guy feeling right now. Must be the wheelchair.
Hello, Constantino Cano.
Hello, that's me.
How did you join the Hey, listen, it's 4 o'clock. I haven't eaten anything.
Yeah, literally.
I'm shaky. I just had some pecans from Buc-ee's.
Yep. Nasty. Disgusting.
Love Daytona.
Stop eating gas station shit.
Shut the fuck up. What you
So,
get?
I got a pied pectinata, also known as a Mexican spiny tail iguana that is piebald. And it's a male, so they look really pretty as adults.
He doesn't look the part right now.
No, right. He's green right now, but they turn the black and white as they get older.
He swears it's not a green iguana.
It is not a green iguana. After we see. Please.
Please.
And what did you get, sir?
What
are we looking at?
Spent a fortune on a little snake. It is a gamma zebra carpet python.
Sweet, dude.
Essentially what that all means is it's when it gets bigger, it's going to be pretty and yellow.
What does the gamma mean? What does it do?
Gamma is just a very pretty yellow.
Okay.
Straight up. That's what I'm
Really?
it literally is just a pretty yellow snake.
But it's a straight.
It has
like,
diamond
it's a
in
morph.
it.
Like it be passed down.
Gamma is something that you cross with coastal, jags, and diamond.
Okay, interesting.
And then you mix that with the jungle and the zebra. It's a pretty snake.
Okay.
Although the jaguar is not very sound.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he's gonna look gorgeous.
He
as
doesn't
an adult,
really.
too.
I didn't notice anything with it. I mean,
I love
it's cool.
zebra. So zebra's already.
Zebra's nice. So that was what I spent my fortune on. I really was torn today, but I ended up going the responsible route. I really did have my eyes on a Dominican red mountain boa.
Yeah.
And a aquatic file snake.
Yes. That was sick, dude. I've never seen this before. I was like, that's insane.
I really want to circle back to go see it, but it's just like the water python is enough for aquatic snakes.
You sure? Because they can live completely in the water.
Exactly. That is
fire.
what is really. And
Water
the fact that they don't get as big as
quality isn't that
elephant
high.
shark snakes, that's the biggest thing for me.
He says like 2 to 3 feet, right?
Yeah.
That's nothing.
So who knows? I might go back for that. I still have enough money for that. So
For
we'll
sure,
see.
dude. For sure. That's like.
What about you?
You know, I came here looking for scorpions. I really did come here looking for different types of scorpions. Nobody has scorpions. Nobody.
It's not the
And
show
if
for
they
that.
Do,
You have to go to city shows for that.
Yeah.
Because that's where the specific people hang out.
If they do, there was giant desert hares and Asian forests, and I'm like, that's so lame.
Yeah.
So lame. Come on, show me the different shit.
Oh, I also got this shirt. It says
Yeah,
Total Hub.
it's fire,
in the
dude.
scheme of the other
very
hub that we
popular
can't
website.
say. It's very funny. I've gotten
Very
a lot of
popular
stares
search
today.
engine. It's
I
dope, dude.
haven't had to tell someone that my eyes are up here yet, but we'll see.
It's
see.
dope, dude. I love it. It's a really good shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been waiting for one of these guys for a long time. To be
Oh, I know.
honest. Iguanas are way superior to tegus and monitors.
Agreed.
Everybody's wrong. And these guys are just so sweet. They're so sweet. They're so nice. And I'm just like, I'm so excited because it's like, so everybody has like their, I want to say like a pet animal. You know, like an animal, not necessarily that you're working with, but an animal that just like,
Yeah.
I guess identifies with you. This is what I intend to identify with myself.
Yeah.
You know, everyone knows me for the beauties and stuff, but I'm like, no,
That's your boy.
this is my boy.
That's
This is
your
my boy
familiar.
now. Yeah, it is
gonna
the
be your
familiar.
familiar.
There we go. That's it.
I would love to have one. It's either that or a frill dragon once my water dragon crosses the rainbow bridge. I mean, he's not old, but I mean,
Yeah.
we'll see.
And this is funny because the male, I wanted a male because males stay prettier and they get larger. So I'm
Mhm.
like, I really like that a lot. And they have the combs, the big combs, which is why I
Yes.
like it. And it's funny because we're both like, oh, we both like them. We'll just both get males. And it's like, it'd be funny because one of us should have gotten a female so that we can breed them, but whatever.
I wouldn't mind having the female.
Okay.
I like the animal for what it is.
Yeah, dude. They're fire. They're fire. A lot of people like the banana
For the most
pectinatas. I'm
part.
like, guys,
No,
hides
bananas are nice.
so cool.
Bananas are nice. I will say I tend to like the lower quality bananas, I guess, because the high quality
lot
ones
more
are
black.
straight yellow.
Yeah.
I like much more black, and I like black as a good color to have with
yeah.
accents. So yellow and white and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with black.
You can't. You
There-
can't.
that is the one color that can pretty much mix with anything and it still looks fine.
But you agree with me that like iguanas are better than monitors
Yes,
and tegus?
100%.
What would you say so?
Why?
Yeah.
Okay, we both have a bias for vegetarian animals.
That's correct. We do.
So that's one. I think that they're a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
You can get a lot more. I feel you can just get more out of an iguana than you could a monitor, just because a lot of monitor species, they don't really calm down very well.
Yeah.
They're much more aloof, whereas the iguanas, once they become confident in themselves, they kind of just step up and just hang out with you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With the spiny tails, it's a little bit different, just because they're not kind of built like other iguanas. They're smaller, they're faster.
Yeah.
But you can still get that relationship. Not that you can't get that
Yeah.
relationship with other monitors. I'm not saying that.
No.
I just feel like
think-
it's a lot more. I just prefer the company of an iguana more than a monitor.
Yeah. You know, it's because we're Hispanic. That's what it is.
Possibly. I think
No,
that has a big.
with the monitors, I think they're also because of how much more intelligent they are. They need constant stimulation.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like almost
you
abuse.
get that sweet spot with the.
You do.
They're not stupid, but they're
No.
also not like going to college. Either,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is, I mean, yes. I don't mean to call my animal stupid, but I would rather have a stupid animal than a smart animal because it is a lot easier to take care of, and you can fulfill that animal's life way more.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with dogs, you know.
Yeah.
But also, I like the aesthetic, the scales.
Yeah.
I really love their crests.
The fact that it's a spiny tail too, like there's spikes on the tail. That's so cool. It's so cool. And I think up until recently, they were the fastest lizard on the planet too.
Who dethroned them?
I think it wasn't an iguana. I want to say because Cuck was talking about it. I think it's another agamid, but I don't know. I still think it is the spiny tails officially, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
but they're cool. So cool, dude. They're so cool.
Man,
Tigers are just lame too.
I when you were doing the last one, I asked Danica where the other ones were.
The other
like,
what?
The other spiny tails.
Oh yeah.
Kind of want one.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just happy that you have it, so now I can just go over and see.
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Okay, perfect.
Exactly. They're just so cool. Dude.
I also got to see some adult water pythons, which was cool.
Yeah, that was fire. Super cool. But those aren't full grown either.
They're not full grown either. They're getting bigger than that. It was cool, but at the same time, it was like they're either low quality ones or they're going to the shed.
Yeah,
I don't know. They look off. They look a little off. Shady table.
Yeah.
But what else? What else did we see?
I saw a huge monkey tail skink. I have to show it to you. An adult monkey tail skink. Dude, I was like, holy crap, that thing's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
We also saw different types of tortoises, radiated, galops.
Some friends got some pretty cool tortoises.
Yep.
Yep. I think everybody got something today.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of blue tree monitors today.
I really wasn't looking. I was kind of speedrunning it. There was way too many people for me to be chill. That's why I went the second round kind of earlier, and I was like, all right.
Yeah. Look through it again.
But yeah. Repticon has torn me apart with that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I am so used to seeing the same things every time. So it's like, okay, I got to remember that I'm here. I can't speedrun everything.
Yeah. It's hard. Because for the most part, and I've said this before, I'm like, if you're looking for a ball python and you go to a show like this, you're forced to look at every single ball python. Like,
I mean, that's if you really care.
Or is it like, I go to the nearest, this table has ball pythons, I pick one of these, you know?
I feel like what ends up happening, it's a little bit of both. You look at the first couple of tables, you walk around more, because you're not going to buy the first one you see. You walk around more.
Yeah.
And there's two ways it could go. You either walk away with nothing, or you end up going with the third one that you saw. The third one.
Okay. Yeah.
And I stand by that.
Sense. Yeah. That's why it's better to like the niche stuff.
Yes.
Like your carpet pythons and your iguanas, guys.
Because there's only going to be 2 or 3 of them at the show.
You're right. So you're going to have to pick one of them.
Got to capitalize.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, you're a reptile lover. All right. And what do we all need? We need supplies. So we got you covered. Head on over to imperialreptiles.com and use the code REPTILESWITH to get a specific discount special to us and our listeners for your reptile supplies today. One more time, that's imperialreptiles.com. Use the code REPTILESWITH. All right, we're sitting here with the man, the myth, the legend, Phil Goss. How you doing, bro?
Fabulous.
Yeah, how was last night?
It was good. So that was a new record for just an auction. We did $119,000 last night.
Jesus.
Yeah. No extra checks, no bonuses. That was straight from the auction, 119. So good night.
Congratulations, dude. I did have a question for you. So those silent ones, the ones that you're writing on paper, how do you find it? Let's say I won one. How do you find me?
Oh, so the silent, you have to be present.
Oh, fuck,
so, yeah.
No way, bro.
So, yeah, we don't go hunting for people. So, yeah, I announced it at the beginning, but you may have missed it.
Yeah, I got there a little late.
A little late.
Yeah, dinner
so,
was insane.
Yeah, if you bid on silent auction, we ask you to stick around, so don't bid unless you're going to stick around. And then we start a timer at the end of the live auction.
Yeah.
And say get in your highest bids.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
well, my bad.
So you're the guy who left all this stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So that's awesome, dude. It was my first time. It wasn't my first time attending one of the auctions, but it was my first time attending one in the sense of like sitting down, paying attention, for as long as I was there. And I did want to ask you, dude, how do you do this? How do you spend all night doing that and then come here? Like, you're sleeping, 4 hours?
Yeah, it's a lot. So, yeah, by the time we counted the money and got out of there, it was 1 o'clock last night.
Jeez,
so,
man.
the auction ended at, 11:30, but then, we got to, close out the silent auction. It's a long day. But fortunately, I think we had 24 people helping us yesterday. So a lot of people don't realize how much it is just to put that auction together, because we have no notice. We don't know what's going to get donated. So we have to collect all the items. So that's where the 24 people came into play. They were walking around the show collecting stuff, but then we have to decide what's going to be live, what's going to be silent. You know, you got to mix some fun stuff in with the live auction to keep it going, and it's a lot of work to put one of those auctions together.
Cool. So I have a little bit of a serious question for you. Okay?
Absolutely.
So the way that this podcast, you know, is, I don't know if you've ever seen any of these like clips going around or whatever, but I do it with 2 other guys, and it's kind of like comedy based, but we do like a lot of discussion about the reptile industry. And then the other 2 guys, they are not USARK people. They're not USARK supporters. They're, you know, one of them is specifically anti-USARK. So, and that's always a big discussion within the group, you know. And that guy, he's in like the zoo sector, like private zoo sector, working with crocodilians and stuff like that. He's not attached to the reptile community, reptile industry in the same way that most people are, through their businesses, through breeding and just being, you know, hobbyists. So my question to you is, how do you reach those kinds of people that might have some kind of influence still in the community, even though they're not active in it?
Well, here's something that everyone needs to realize. Anyone working with animals need to realize this. We all have the same enemy, and it's the animal rights groups. And I'll give you a perfect example. So this year we had 2 state bills. They were Connecticut and Oregon. We call them animal program bans. The animal rights groups usually call them circus bans. But a lot of zoological people think they're exempt from this stuff. Even AZA wasn't exempt from these bills. So even AZA, which is Association of Zoos and Aquariums that has all the big zoos across the country, even they had to show up to these hearings and fight them because they weren't exempt from them. So again, the zoological people got to realize, whether you're anti-USARK or anti-whatever, HSUS and ASPCA and PETA and Friends, they're coming after all of us. And those are 2 perfect examples right there. So I mean, again, however you feel about USARK, you know, so be it. But you gotta realize that we're all fighting these same people, and somehow you got to step up and do something. So even if you're anti-USARK, we put those alerts together for a reason. So even if for some reason you don't support us, you can still use those alerts, and you can still contact the legislators and help stop that stuff.
I think that specifically people here in Florida, they're just more caught up with the war against FWC, that they're not like seeing anything else that's happening, you know. And I mean, mind you, that is of course the hot topic of today here in Florida, you know. But they you know, a lot of people might put the attention to like, oh, USARK is just fighting FWC, when it's just like, no, USARK Florida is a little bit separate, and that's who's handling that kind of stuff, and USARK in general is doing, you know, stuff across the states. But yeah, so yeah, that's the thing. So we're always having that big debate of whether or not you should or you shouldn't support USARK. There was like, and I know that an organization like USARK can't, you know, fight against individuals in the sense, but I remember a couple years ago there were people that were saying like, oh, if you don't support USARK, then nobody should buy from you, and we should kind of like, it was almost cancel culture-esque. How do you personally take some of that?
I remember what you're talking about, and we've even been blamed by some state agencies, but unless it was posted in USARK or in one of our newsletters, you got to realize that didn't come from USARK, and we can't control. So there are 5 million households in the U.S. who keep reptiles. There is no way USARK can control what happens on social media and what people say. So when you look at something like that, you know, myself or USARK or the board members, we can't control what people are going to say on social media. So if someone wants to say, I'm only going to support people from USARK, I mean, you should respect that. But at the same time, those people have to respect if you don't want to support USARK for some reason.
That's an individual problem, not a problem with the organization.
It's nothing we did. We didn't encourage people to do that. I didn't go out and poke somebody and say, hey, why don't you start posting this on social media? We had no control over that. So again, for people to be mad at USARK over that situation is totally unfair to us, because we had nothing to do with it.
Cool beans. Well, I appreciate you. I know I'm sure you got a busy day, a lot of hands to shake. Before we get off, I know that you guys were talking a little bit with FWC. Can you talk about anything of that?
We can talk about any of that. So
it seemed positive. It was nice to see these individuals come here in plain clothes to have these kinds of conversations with everybody.
Yeah, so FWC, they have a new executive director, Colonel Young, Colonel Roger Young, and hasn't even been there for 2 months yet, really in that position, but he's saying all the right things. He's showing up. He's doing stuff that no other executive director did. He came to one of our technical assistance group meetings, which was huge, brought a commissioner with him. That was the first time that's ever happened, and we've had those tags for over 2 years now. They were here yesterday, him and Major Burton and Colonel Rowe, and they were here for 6 hours at least. And that was just walking around. Mainly, most of that time was spent with U.S. Ark Florida. So again, they're doing all the right things. They're showing up. They're actually engaging, and we have to see where it goes. But again, it looks good right now. And what we saw before with FWC, and I know a lot of times we say, or especially U.S. Ark Florida, we may say something about FWC, but FWC is a huge agency. They have over 1,000 employees. So sometimes we just have to talk about FWC as a whole, but it's certainly not the whole agency. It wasn't last year, it wasn't 2 years ago, and it's not now. But, you know, you get a couple bad apples in there, and they're the ones who are targeting us, and it's a problem. But things look good moving on. Colonel Young is hoping to be in that position for 8 to 10 years. So hopefully we're a little smoother selling going on.
Beautiful. Well, I'm glad that we could end this in a positive note. Thank you so much, buddy.
Well, cool. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Are we just supposed to go at it?
Yeah, just go at it. So what's the first conversation? So we're at the Daytona Reptile Show, right? I finally talked to the president. You saw that? Yeah.
You and Elizabeth, our president, had a good conversation today. It looked like there was animation on both sides. She didn't hit you, right?
I can't. I need a puppet, and I'll touch whoever she hit me. I can't say. No, it was great. It was a great conversation, actually. And like I told her, it's like some people choose to hate and just hate. Like it's like, no, very different. There's a different type of hate, right? So it's not like I hate you, I'm not gonna talk to you. No, I hate you. You're always wrong. You're the devil. It's more like, hey, I disagree with these things. We can have a conversation. And I like the fact that people expect me to be that way, and people expect you to push me away, but we can still sit down and have a conversation, and that always makes me feel good because it pisses other people off.
Yeah. Well, when we were talking in the aisle here earlier, like one of the guys that kind of made me aware, this guy, you should hear all this stuff he's saying about you. Like he was just watching and like taking pictures. He's like, I can't believe so it's amusing to people.
Yeah. It's both like, I'll be honest, it's both good content, but also it's a good message of have a conversation to find a solution. And what we were talking with Elizabeth is pretty much that. Like if FWC and USR could do that form of communication, that right there is what the solution of many things could be, is that communication between two people or two organizations, two industries to find a solution, not pick a side and go at it.
Yeah, well, like we've said, we're not like about no dissent, join US Ark or die, but we like having a conversation.
Yeah,
so,
and she did too. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that about her.
She's all up for it.
I will say I like that. So when are we gonna talk about them ball pythons?
Well,
getting in the loose?
He's been talking about the ball pythons, and I haven't been saying anything because we've been working on the ball python situation behind the scenes, both coordinating with FWC and with Jacksonville Herp Society.
We found one. Explain it. How did it get here?
I'm a colubrid guy. I don't know what these things are. No. We love our ball python keepers. Is this one of the ball pythons?
Yeah.
No.
I'm like, what?
Well, this one got here because it was just put in my hands. But there has been an issue in St. Augustine where a bunch of ball pythons, obviously captive, a bunch of morphed ball pythons have popped up. Unfortunately, it's been reported by the media that these are like an invasive species in Florida, which there's no truth to that. But, it's an unfortunate situation. And, yes, this stuff does happen. I mean, we've got tons of dog and cat owners out there. You're not going to shut down dogs and cats, but there are problems with dogs and cats. Shelters are full. People throw them out. It's horrible when it happens. But when it's reptiles, it makes the news. So it's a serious situation, but it's bad for the animals. It's bad for our hobby. it's bad for everything. So
I don't think it matters for the hobby just because that mistake shouldn't have happened, and it should be taken the same when it comes to dogs and cats. That should be as bad.
Absolutely.
It absolutely should be as bad.
Like I said, it's just like people have somehow accepted it because they're common pets.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we just have this problem in our society.
And some people don't understand the introduction of those animals also affects wildlife and stuff. Like I've talked to like not reptile keepers, like regular mofos in the street. They don't know these things, and that's why they have cats outside and dogs. A lot of those people don't even care to learn those things, you know. So I think it all should be dealt with the same, and it's all as bad. So.
Yeah. So it's of course it is. The good thing in this instance is that, and we were commended by FWC staff and and I say not we specifically, the reptile community, for stepping up and helping to address this problem. So in this case, FWC has not been involved at all really in that situation. They're aware of it, but they haven't been involved in the situation. Jacksonville Herp Society responded to that. They are adopting out the snakes, and they're getting them veterinary treatment. So there's a system going, and one thing that we've been working on, we haven't talked about it yet, but it seemed like a good time now to start talking about it. We're working at kind of expanding what Jacksonville Herp Society is doing there on a statewide level. So USARK Florida is going to start what?
I just had this conversation with some people. I'll tell you after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is crazy.
So this is something that our board has been discussing, and it's the time is definitely right, but we're going to have a statewide network of people who can respond to loose animals, escape animals, and deal with rescues. So we will be helping to put animals that need a home in places with good owners. And, it's FWC has an amnesty program. I think it's done with good intents.
But it doesn't
Unfortunately, it's underfunded, and a lot of people don't trust FWC. Yeah. So a lot of people are unwilling to bring animals in, even though it's supposed to be judgment-free. They just aren't going to deal with FWC. And they don't take red-eared sliders, which is the most common animal that people are trying to rehome. And unfortunately, I think a lot of those do end up in the wild because there's no good option. And people do move here with their turtles. You don't automatically, if you're a regular person, you don't automatically know that an animal's illegal in the state you're going to move to. We have tons of people moving to Florida all the time. So the time is right for something like this to happen, and we're going to be working, and anybody else. This is a collaborative effort. This isn't like USARK Florida is the only people. We want to work with people who have wildlife rescues, any qualified people in the state who are willing to be involved with this. This is something we want to do.
Very good. I actually like that quite a lot. And it's interesting because I just did a podcast with certain people, and they talked about exactly that, about USARK actually, because one of the people was saying that they did not feel like they can get involved through USARK, and they wanted to get involved more. And this is a USARK member. And that is one of the options he actually put out, was exactly that, was to be part of an organization that does exactly that, be part of the organization that they're putting money into. He was saying that he's part of other organizations, not animal related, where he donated money and was involved in some things, but USARK wasn't one of those. So it's very interesting that you brought that up after I just had that conversation. I think that that is a very, very good idea to kind of control what happens within the industry and outside of it, because a lot of times those animals, it's not that people release them, it's people lose them, and those animals do need a home. Now, would that count with, let's say, spiny-tailed iguanas, which we have hundreds of? What if people try to do a species like that? Would that be a...
Yeah, I mean, we haven't fleshed out all the details on this, so are we talking about pet spiny tails or like the wild feral spiny tails?
Yeah, I was talking about wild mostly.
We do have people involved in USARK Florida now who are some of the only licensed green iguana trappers in the state at this point, who also catch spiny tails. That is something that's like a full-time job in and of itself.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Do you think euthanasia is the only way for those?
Well, I think that's tough. I think that I'm not sure that this is not like an issue that's specifically related to the pet trade right now, as far as we know. I don't know if I'm ready to answer that in detail because it's just not something I have to be careful because I speak on behalf of the board of USARK Florida, and I have my own opinions on things sometimes, but it's not something we've like discussed in a board meeting or anything. So but if that happened, that would be like another major. You're talking about like the state.
It would be like Burms all over again.
Yeah, the state is investing millions of dollars in Burmese python trappers. Is spiny tails the magnitude of problem that it's worth investing that much money in? I mean, that's a question. Are they doing the kind of damage that justifies that?
No, I feel like they're, if anything, similar to greens, other than they're a little bit more omnivorous.
Yeah, they're probably not as widespread, but in certain areas they're very abundant. They're like kind of dominant in localized zones. So, as with anything, each species is kind of a case-by-case basis, so you can't just generalize. But yeah, it's something that should be discussed for sure.
Yeah, I like all of those things that USARK's doing. Finally, some things that I actually agree with, because that's like, if that organization stepped up for these ball pythons, then that organization should spread to more places to be able to do the same whenever those things happen. Because usually what happens is, found ball pythons outside, and nobody does a thing about it. And then guess what? FWC steps in, and then we look bad. So I agree with that. And
yeah. I mean, so certainly anything that's just running around that could be. Is it time to wrap up?
Yeah.
So you get us talking, and we just go on forever.
We gotta do another podcast.
For sure.
This is the kind of thing. If somebody sees a big lizard like a monitor or a tegu walking around in some neighborhood, and we all see these posts, a ball python or a boa,
somebody could step in.
We need to be addressing that as quickly as possible and have the closest person who is qualified reptile person there and making an effort to at least try to locate the animal and capture it. So
I agree with that. So I hope it works. Hope it comes along, and something like that I could get behind. Depends how depends how it works. May, you got me.
Wholehearted supporter of USARK Florida.
Come on, man.
Mr. Imperial Reptiles himself. How's it going, man?
What's up, man?
Chilling, dude.
It's going okay.
Listen, let's recap what's going on over here, all right? Things are getting a little weird at this show. This show fucking sucked.
It was not great.
It was cool to see a bunch of our friends.
Yes.
But traffic was kind of weak. As far as we saw on this side. I don't know if the gate looks different.
I didn't see a line yesterday as big as like previous years. I think they were trying to make improvements so that there wasn't like a long line around the building and people waiting in the heat, but there definitely wasn't that steady flow of people incoming for like 2 or 3 hours that there was last year or previous years too, where it's been pretty busy.
I think that, the first concern is that, we spoke about the display, right? So we assess the kinds of displays we have.
Right.
We're like, you have that kind of setup, I have this kind of setup. Even though we're in the same area, traffic's not anything crazy. You have a variety of animals. I have specific animals. Nothing crazy. Mind you, maybe it's that. Maybe people are just not looking for the animals that we have. And, maybe I'm being a little bit sour. But even then, like, I don't know, dude.
Well, I hear hognose people did well, but it seems like hognose breeders always seem to do a little bit better just because the inventory of that, the stock isn't usually available.
Yeah.
So people come to this type of show to look for that stuff. But corn snake breeders, I see a lot of corn snakes still. I see a lot of kink snakes around. I see a lot of ball pythons. I see a lot of skinks. I see a lot of turtles, a lot of crested geckos. It just seems to be like a lot of stuff everywhere. So I don't know if that's the reason why it feels slower, because I do see people buying stuff, but we don't know if it's the amount of, if there's just less people. It just feels different. Yeah,
it does feel different. I spoke with somebody and they were telling me that they're doing, like a ball python dude, and they're doing great. But they also have very specific high-end stuff. So, like, if you're looking for very specific high-end stuff, you're going to go there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I get it, like good, but also, like, almost then, if my audience isn't here, what's the point of being here kind of thing?
I get that feeling.
Yeah. Maybe it's just not the show that it used to be. I don't know. This is my third time doing this show.
Yeah.
Last year was definitely better. I've done better. I've done way better at some of the local shows.
Yep.
I don't know. How are you feeling, man?
I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah.
We've done this expo. I think this is our 4th year doing the expo, 4th or 5th year doing the expo, and we've done very elaborate setups. This is our first year doing a very plain setup, and we thought maybe before we didn't do as well. I always attribute it because this is a breeders expo, and we're a pet store, so it becomes a little bit more difficult for us to compete with the breeders just because they could always just do lower pricing. And at the end of the day, when you're competing with each other like this and like kind of like against the consumer price, the quality of the animal, and if you're looking for a specific genetic, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about people that are like shopping for a specific animal and have a ton of choices. It becomes competitive and it becomes price-based. The breeders can always just go cheaper than what we can. So I've always kind of like attributed it to that. But this year I felt like we bought good and we bought the prices were right so that we can lower and we can compete with breeders. And we lowered kind of like the way we do the setup where it's not as elaborate as it used to be, where it's easier for people to just pick stuff up and buy. But I really didn't feel like it made that big of a difference.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like it's like kind of like what you said. If the customer base isn't really here, are we putting too much for what it really is?
Yeah.
And it's always great to promote. It's always great to see, our customers. But it's cool because it's like you see the customers from the shop. You see the customers that go to Repticon. You see the customers that came from Daytona last year. So like for that purpose, it's really good. But like this year, like if I would say how many new customers did you actually like get the name out to, I would say not a lot. I didn't feel like there was a lot of new people here, just a lot of regulars, if I had to put it that way.
Yeah, not that I want to shit. We're going to switch this into a more positive note in a second, but not that I want to shit on it too much, but the way that I can best describe it is a lot of people just feel like this is a shell of what this show used to be.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, it's okay that things get a little old and stuff like that, but it's like, what I want to do, because I'm going to come back next year. I love doing specifically this.
I'm going to keep
sponsoring
podcast. You to come back,
Hell
so
yeah.
you're good.
Yeah. And then, it's just, I guess it is what it is. Let's see what we can do next year a little bit different
and then just go with it, and that's always what it is,
Yeah, man.
You're always going to think about what you can do different next year. I've already talked to Alex. Like, I want to change up, different displays and stuff to do the Repticons, and just back to work, man. Going back to the shop, which is going to be a little stressful because our employee situation is changing a little bit. We've lost some key members to the shop.
Yeah.
So I think that's also why I'm a little bit more down. I just have a lot more on my mind that I'm thinking about.
It is what it is, man. But now, positive stuff. What cool things have we seen at the show? I know that you haven't had a lot of time to walk around.
Did you see the patternless Marukis?
I did see the patternless Marukis.
That was cool.
I was trying my best to get Ron to go with me to the table, but he didn't even answer my fucking call. This fucking guy wins an award, and all of a sudden he thinks he's Eddie Soto.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. This guy wins an award. Now he's Eddie Soto,
He needs
legendary.
an
Yeah. yeah. But apparently he doesn't answer the phone to anybody. So. Fine, Ron. It's okay. But yeah, the patternless Marukis were sick. If I did better, hold on one second. What was that? Last year. Sorry about that, guys. We're doing this live at a show, so these kinds of things happen. What were we talking about? Patternless Marukis. So I was gonna get one if the show was a little bit better, but it wasn't. As a matter of fact, somebody has juvenile captive bred Australian olive pythons, and I want to buy a female. Show was not great. Don't think that's the move.
Yeah.
But I still might do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, my dad fell in love with the tokes that are over there, the toke morphs.
Okay.
And he's like, I think I want to get those. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You want to get
They're just cool to look at.
Yeah, they're cool to look at. Other than that,
the blue tree monitors were cool. The captive bred blue tree monitors. There was captive bred green tree monitors, captive bred yellow tree monitors, and those lizards just look so different when they're captive bred. They're bold. They're not terrified. They're like exploring the whole cage. The wild caught ones like just hide in a cork round.
Yeah. I saw a lot of different carpet pythons. They had 75% diamond python mixes, and those were cool. Captive bred Angolan python babies.
Okay.
You usually see the Angolan ball crosses, but now actual captive bred babies not usually at these shows. A bunch of large breeder iguanas that people are getting out of. Also with the carpets, gamma line stuff, which I believe it's a mix between diamond python, jungle, and jag. So those, as they grow, they're just yellow. They have crazy patterns. It's fucking awesome.
That's cool.
Really, really awesome. Other than that, yeah, dude, I mean, the most important thing is that I got to see a lot of my friends. We got to hang out. And even though maybe financially it wasn't the best, it was still a lot of fun.
Yep.
And that means a lot to me.
Yeah, there was a lot of mingling, a lot of rubbing elbows.
Yeah.
So I definitely rubbed my elbows.
They're scraped now from all the rubbing of the elbows. All right, buddy. Where can people find you?
All right, you guys can find us at the Ocoee location in Orlando, or online at imperialreptiles.co. Just search Imperial Reptiles anywhere on Google. We will pop up.
Rock and roll. Thanks so much for tuning in. Leave a comment down below and let us know what your favorite part of this episode was. We'll see you on the next one.